Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We are going to be in for a real treat coming up the next couple of hours from Coast to Coast AM and Blue Rock Talk. Connie Willis is going to be with us. We're probably not even going to talk monsters or anything because I'm a former sports reporter. She's a former sports journalist. So we're going to talk everything from race cars to hockey to basketball, baseball, and everything in between. There's no monsters tonight. No monsters. I'm kidding. Dirty Filth is here as well for another great cartoon. I cannot wait for that. But first, we have to say hello to all of you guys for tuning us on in tonight. Roll call starts right now. Tim Mothman and his goatee in the gold medal position. Race Fan with a silver and Kitty Caddywhack with a nice bronze medal tonight. Hi, Chris Laker. Typical Skeptic Podcast. How you doing? Robert Lamoth. Nice to see you. Michael Morris, Roy Boy, and Blue Cruz. Good to see you all. Hi, Karen in the Woo Train. Melvin from Mars, WD-40. Gonna lube us up for tonight's show, Melvin. And just because you added the WD-40, I'm going to tell you right now, you will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Simon the Likeable. Little Timmy in the backwoods. What happened to Tim James on YouTube? Oops. Yeah, he screwed up. He's in the background here. Deborah Jane East, nice to have you back. And Stephanie Kenny Blankenship, how are you? Eternity Eternal. Amanda Carroll, how you doing? Lee the Bee is here. Lee the Bee will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. He only signs in silver Sharpie, people. Only in silver. Javier from Cryptid 559. How you doing, brother? Good to see you. Deanna Ann, Paul Demon, Mama Catherine. Mwah, I love you, my dear. Love you so much. Thank you for your message this morning. Forrest Louie, good to see you. Millennium, my man. Nikki in Seattle. Nice to have you both here. Flat Six, good to have you here. Hi, Pam Harris and Operation Shutdown. Number 31 in your program, starting in goal tonight from Stockholm, Sweden. Lars Jansson. Deidre, nice to have you here. Rock and Rory, good to see you. Hi, Trucker Andrew and Wee Runa. Lawana Murphy, thank you for coming on in. Hello there, Invisible Tracker. Kurt M. Derek Olson, how you doing? Good to have you here. As we continue on with our roll call tonight. Ozzy, nice to see you. And Oob to Joe's Main, you've got, I'm going to tell you right now, Joe, your hair places silver over Connie's tonight. Wait until you see Connie's hair. Yeah, Joe, it's rare that I do that because you have a beautiful mane. But tonight, I think Connie beat you in the hair department. I really do. Noble Patrick, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in. As we continue on, there's Earth Goat Tress. I used to call her Earth Goat Trees. I don't know why, but I should learn to read sometimes. Hey, Extra Small Lee, how you doing, buddy? Nice to see you. Jason Von Leuven, good to see you. Brown Dwarf, Stony Jackson, welcome to SOR Chat. Thank you for joining us. And who's next on our list here? Philip Miller, welcome to SOR Chat. Al Garay over on Twitch. He did 472 sit-ups today in 6 minutes to warm up for tonight's show with Connie. Let's get the radio side going here. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We're going to talk all sorts of monsters from Coast to Coast AM and Blue Rock Talk. Connie Willis is our guest tonight. We are just in roll call right now, moments away from starting tonight's show, as we say hello to Polly Rotterman. Nice to have you here. Hi, Stargazer. Vanessa, nice to see you. Connie, Joe says he accepts the hair challenge. He accepts the hair challenge tonight. All right, moving on here in our roll call. And we say hello next to Lisa Smith. Good to have you here. Want to remind everybody the super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Also, if you're brand new here, don't forget to hit subscribe, ring that bell. We literally broadcast you live every night, 7 days a week. I'm here Monday through Friday. Robbie is here on Saturday and Sunday. And our store is open on our website. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out. Throw those horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SLR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates across North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a power show of fun tonight. Legendary radio host from Coast to Coast AM and Blue Rock Talk, Connie Willis, will be with us momentarily. I can't wait for this. It's your first time here as a space traveler, and we are going to have a lot of fun the next 2 hours. Then in hour number 3, we head to the swamp. Swamp Dweller has another spooky story for us. Follow that up. Tim James will be here with the UFO report. All right, let's get right to it. Connie Willis, in my opinion, and to all of her listeners, is literally one of the most enthusiastic guest hosts on Coast to Coast AM. She's been doing the dream gig since 2014, and she's been a professional broadcaster for the last couple of decades. Her website, conniewillis.com. She has been in national and radio and television professional broadcasting field, doing shows from sports to cooking to TV retail and infomercials. She is a serious student of high strangeness due to having her own experiences since the age of 3. The memorable events as a child and many more throughout her life left her with a strong desire to find out the truth about whatever this weird phenomena is that's going on. I don't know about you guys, but I am pumped to have Connie Willis on Spaced Out Radio for the first time. Connie, thank you so much for being here. How are you, my friend?
I am good. Am I all good? We're set. Hey.
We are rolling.
So like I have blue rockers, you have space travelers. Is that right?
Yes.
And you do the horns and I do the blue. We do this.
Nice.
So we got a gangster sign. We all it's a radio thing, you all. It's just a radio thing. Thanks for having me here. This will be a fun show. It's already the excitement's going, and we got a drawer tonight. I love it. Thanks so much for having me on, Dave.
You know what? The one thing I love about this show is when, and it doesn't happen often enough, but when I get to talk to professional broadcasters, just to get their perspective of the phenomena, get their perspective of the stories. I think when we combine that knowledge of journalism, of professional radio, which, due to podcasting, due to YouTube channels, it's kind of taken away from the art of true radio. I think it's special. And I think what you do is special with your listeners, your Blue Rockers, and everybody who follows you on Coast to Coast AM. It's a medium that is, I'll never say radio is dying. but I will say it's changing. And
You could also say it's dying. Yeah, you could. A lot of people would say that, but I think you're right. It is. It has to, right, to survive.
it does.
It does.
It does. Looking back when you started as a sports broadcaster, because this is what you and I have in common, is we both worked in sports broadcasting. Did you ever think sports broadcasting would lead you down the road of the paranormal, chasing Bigfoot, looking up in the sky for UFOs?
I just, it wasn't like I grew up playing basketball. Being from Kentucky, you play basketball. I played baseball on a guys team for like 8 years when I was like 7 to 15. Played softball, played volleyball, played anything you can imagine. And so I love sports, right? But when I did sports broadcasting, it was car racing and it was boat racing, and you got on a circuit, right? And these were $1 million boats, and the cars, of course, with IRL and the different circuits that we were on.
Mm-hmm.
It was stuff that was over my head, and it wasn't my thing. Was more, at least what I wanted to do was, let me get where the fans are. Let me talk about the fans. Let me show you the fans and what they're barbecuing before the big race is. I like that feature part of it, right? But they would throw me in the pits, and they would cars are coming in at 200,000 miles an hour, and it's real. You better be out of the way, right? And I would have to know these race car drivers that everybody else knew like the back of their hand. So I really had to work it, right? I had to learn these people immediately, really quickly, and it was work. So, Dave, it was work for me. But it was great, too, because like on the car circuit, we got to go to Vancouver. We got to go to Montreal, Trois-Rivières. We got to go to these great places, and it was beautiful. But then I had to know that the axle F was connected to the whatever over here. And if I didn't come out saying it in a way of, yeah, I know what I'm talking about, forget it. So at one point, I just was like, why? Well, I know you'll understand this. So the people that are there with the racing and all this kind of, all this stuff, knowing what the tires are, what they're made of, and what year they came out, and where the threads, were decided. And I remember all the TV crew team, we'd sit and have lunch, and they're still talking about it. And I actually literally said to these people that, I'm telling you, they were stars in the world of racing. They were the legends. Now they're TV people, right? You know how that works. But yes. I wasn't that person. I was the girl coming in, the new girl, trying to learn this stuff. And at lunch, I remember saying, "Man, y'all ever, can we talk about something else?" I did it in a nice, kind way, but man, I was like, I was bombarded with looks. And they were like, "Well, that's why we're here. We all love this stuff. We have a passion for that." That's where I learned about that passion. And going to culinary school too, I learned that passion that people have. And I was like, what is my passion? And paranormal stuff, just
true.
I hate that word paranormal, right? If you're in it, you hate the word paranormal. You want to get a little beyond and more specific about it. But that's where my passion. And I said, what? I gotta do this because I can talk about it like the back of my hand. Anybody can, just like the race car drivers and just like all the TV people with the racing and the boat racing and stuff like that. So I hoped, you asked, did you ever think? I hoped that I would get into something where I didn't have to study it and say, come on, shoot it. Well, I still got it in my mind. I want to let it go, right?
Did you ever notice when you were covering IndyCar racing that every driver has the same pitch, same tone, and talks the same speed? Like, it didn't matter whether it was Michael Andretti or Paul Tracy or any of the drivers. They all spoke the same in that high pitch, very fast talking sound.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. What did you do that you knew that? What did you?
I was a reporter. So when you go, for people who don't understand, I'd be the dude with the big microphone flash inside the
Right.
press conferences or inside the dressing room or wherever. So that's what I did. And it's funny because I was watching these hockey highlights on YouTube the other night from when I covered the Vancouver Canucks, and I said to my son, I said, "Hey son, come here for a sec. Come here quick." And he runs over. He goes, "What do you want to see? What do you want, Dad?" He's 11 years old. And
Oh.
I said, "See that microphone flash right there?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "That's my hand." And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's Dad's hand." And he's like,
Dad,
"Oh,
do you have
cool.
fingernail polish on? Maybe, maybe,
Maybe,
maybe, maybe clear.
absolutely, absolutely." But it's just one of those cool things. I always said when we were a sports journalist in Vancouver, we were pseudo celebrities because everybody knew who we were, but we sure as hell were not paid like celebrities. At least we got
That's
into the bars.
exactly right.
We-
That's exactly right. But
you know,
people think that, let me tell you, in television, you get, if we're going to talk about pay, television does really, they pay you pretty well. If you still like your first year, you're going to get so much, but your second year, it pretty much doubles. Third year doubles from there. That's where you get a lot of these folks in the paranormal shows that people watch. And at first they're pulled out of Hollywood as an actor or something like that. And I know that's my whole background, right? It's like, oh, that's an actor that came in for an audition. Now they're going to do this, or maybe they're not really into it. They have this happening, or it's somebody's niece or nephew, and they get in on these shows. Kills me. Eventually, though, they learn the stuff they want to know because they're having a blast. They're getting a ton of attention, and they're talking about something fun. These things are fun. It's interesting. It's amazing. Once you're in. But it does kill me when there's a lot of people that get into these shows and they have no background in it, or if they do, it's really more about the fame instead of really learning the stuff. And so that's a little pet peeve kind of thing for me that you hit a nerve there, because it drives me nuts.
Trivia question I'm going to ask you here right off the bat, because I was talking with our cryptid reporter Jackie Harmon about this last night. I'm going to ask you, if one of the alphabet agencies called you up and said, "Connie, we're going to give you the secrets. We're going to show you everything you want to know."
Absolutely yes is the answer. Go ahead, though.
Okay.
I know what you're going to ask.
But you have to give up. You can't say it publicly. You got to give up your radio show. Would you do it?
Absolutely yes.
Why?
Because that's my passion. I've done radio and television since '87. It's like, okay, been there, done that. Thank you so much. And now I get to know the secret and be a part of it. Absolutely. And not broadcast? Fine. Absolutely. I want to know. That's where my passion is. That's where it's like, hey, on my show, Blue Rock Talk, it is, you go with me. Let's go on this research on Project Creepy Hotspots, and you go with me. And pay me a membership on the week, pay me a monthly membership, because that's going to pay for the gas. That's going to pay for the food. That's going to get me up there. We're all doing this together. And absolutely, I would want to know. Yeah. If I have that chance. Yeah. Yeah. Wouldn't you, Dave?
See, I'm debating this. I am totally debating this because in one way I have had with my experiences, I already know. Okay, because I've seen a ghost. I've seen Bigfoot. I've had encounters with UFOs and ETs.
Yeah.
But seeing it firsthand where you can, like I said to Jackie last night, let's say they bring you to this glass cage, and in behind that glass is a 9-foot Sasquatch, standing there almost like in a lion's den or something like that. Would I want that? I don't know if I would want that, because to me, part of the fun is like going out into the forest and hoping to have that encounter. Like, I was out with my buddy Tim, my UFO guy Tim. He's my neighbor here, and he's right behind me in studio right now. Okay, or right in front of me actually.
Hey, Tim.
And we had a night on Sunday where we went to our Sasquatch spot. Where
Nice.
I've had encounters. We found in that area, over the last couple of years, I found a 13-inch print, 2 16-inch prints, 2 19-inch prints recently, and we found a tree that was bent right over and tucked under a log the tip of it was tucked under a log that's been dead on the ground for I don't know how many years, but whatever it was picked up this log and put the tip of this tree underneath it.
That's cool. I've seen those things before. It's really cool,
Yeah.
isn't it? People are
It's
like, "Oh,
amazing
the
what
log
stuff-
fell and carried it," and it's like, "No, I don't. What are the chances?" But go ahead. I'm sorry.
So when we were there on Sunday night, nothing was happening. You could, because Bigfoot has energy. You could feel when they are.
Yes, you can. Absolutely. Yeah.
And there was none of that. And then all of a sudden, it was about 10 o'clock at night, and we hear the famous thud, thud, because it always happens thud, thud with like heavy footsteps. It's probably 50, 60 yards from where we were standing. So Tim's wife puts the flashlight up, and Tim
Oh, come on. He put the flashlight up? That's like a gun.
well, he watches this shadow walk right in between the
Oh.
trees.
Ah,
And so I'm looking at it. I can't see a thing. And literally 2 minutes later, this thing must have known, because like 2 minutes later, the dry lightning started right over top of us.
whoa. We know that one. Yeah, we know that one.
So it was time to go, because before the pitchforks start coming, because we're in forest fire territory here, and we got to be
Oh,
careful.
wait a minute. It was natural lights coming down, or was it like ET stuff
No,
coming?
nothing ET. This was
Oh,
actually
okay.
natural lightning going on,
Oh, okay.
right?
Yeah,
So
get out of there. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
it was time to go. The last place you want to be during a lightning storm is in a dry forest,
True. Yes.
So we got to be careful. We got about another month up here, but that we got to be careful before we're able to have a campfire and everything like that. But it was just amazing, just watching the reaction of Tim, because he's never seen anything like that before, and watching his brain try to describe what he was seeing.
Yes.
Because he doesn't know what he saw. It
Yeah.
was just there, and then it wasn't.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
it is about enjoying the experience as well. Like getting back to
But
what
I don't think you would end that. I think you could, once I think you'd even be a part of it. In fact, I think if they give you the secret, that's probably because they want you to be a part of it in some way. I mean, I would have to make that the deal, and I could not stop researching it. I just wouldn't broadcast about it. Or, there's a lot of people in CIA, NSA, and they still talk with the world. They just don't tell their secrets. So maybe go back into broadcasting and do culinary stuff or golf or something like that. Like, that would be fun to golf. But you just can't talk about the other stuff. But you would know everything, and you could maybe sing Kumbaya with them every night. Maybe, they're living in your guest house or something. Who knows?
Well, if you have a guest house full of Sasquatch, I'm coming over to your place.
It's a big guest house.
That would be a very big guest house. We've got about 6 minutes before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Connie Willis from Coast to Coast AM and Blue Rock Talk is our guest tonight. Connie, you've had experiences since you were 3 years old.
3.
What happened, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I do mind. Forget it. Let's change the subject. I want to talk about something else. I'm just kidding. No, but let me say this. Hey, you all. So I'm on TikTok right now. If you go to TikTok and you go to @ConnieWillis.com, we got the show on. It's kind of behind the scenes. In the future, I'll be able to include, this. I need to include this part, right? The computer part where it's got your face going. But I do have me just looking down like this. You can see the new orange hair that the color blinded salon dude did. It was a straight guy. What can I say? You need a gay man to do your hair. It's just the way it is. It's not racist or whatever anybody calls it. Every woman knows it's a work of art for them. So anyway, we're on TikTok live. So it's Connie Willis Live. So go there and you'll see it on there too, and follow me there. And because we do the Blue Rock Talk, we do the Connie After Dark and all the other things like that. So we're kind of all over the place tonight. I love it. This is fun. And we're going to be all over next week too. And we'll let you decide when to say that. But it was when I was 3 years old. It was actually even before. Well, no, I think it was 3. I had some other things that happened at 3 as well. But basically, what had happened was my very, very, very first memory was just kind of going straight down, like just really going down really fast from above and going down and down and down. And there were two things, one to my left and one to my right. And they were white, flowy. I just saw it out of my peripheral. They were white and flowy, and they had each side of me, and we were going down and down and down, and they were telling me, like this telepathic way of, you will always be. You're going to be okay. You're going to get through this. This is where you're going right now. You're going to come out the other side. You will always be. You will always be. That was my message. And as we were going down, what I saw was the very first house that we ever lived in as a family. I was the fifth of five, and there was this kid, and it was holding a stuffed animal. And what I saw was basically me going into that.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was like a soul, like they had my soul. They were taking my soul down, and they were letting my soul know, hey, you're going to come out the other side. Don't worry about it. You'll get through this. You will always be. And that's the exact layout from the top of the home that I first lived in before we moved, later. And that was, going into a kid's body with a stuffed animal. That was little me. Isn't that
Wow.
cool? So that kind of hits there's a lot of questions there, right? It's like, okay, does the soul come later? Maybe for some people it comes earlier. Maybe it's all different stuff. Maybe they traded me out with one. I don't know, whatever. That's what I knew. And what wisdom, right? What little 3-year-old's going to go, you will always be. You will always be.
Did you at that point think that was something natural that happened? Or
Well, I
did you?
didn't even know till like later in life. I thought, I remembered, I always knew it. I don't think I ever talked about it because you just think everybody goes through it. You just think, you don't think you're any different and I don't think anybody's any different. I think just some of us remember it more for some reason.
That's so interesting. So interesting. See, I feel a little ripped off by that because I didn't start having my experiences really hardcore until I was 38.
Well, you're, no, I'm just kidding. No, I know, right? I know. I understand. That's funny. I feel ripped off when I hear some other people do things. It's like, oh man, I want that. Good for you. Good for you. So not until 38?
No, I mean, I had seen a UFO
I
and
thought
I
you were
had,
only 32, Dave.
oh,
Something's
don't
not
let,
right here.
don't let the white hair fool you. Okay. Don't let the white hair fool you. It is beautiful and there is no male pattern baldness.
Dude, I haven't seen any picture of you with white hair and a white beard. I see all these dark-haired pictures.
Yeah, I know. Sigh.
No, be proud. White hair is awesome. It's great.
I actually, when I had hair about as long as yours a couple of years ago, true story, I had hair as long as yours.
Really?
I went into a salon and I was in San Francisco for UFO Con. And this is a true story.
Oh, you'll get a
And
great haircut out there.
And I wanted to get my hair flat ironed for the stage that night. So I walked in there
Wow.
to get my hair flat ironed, and the lady who was flat ironing my hair literally called every other hairstylist and nail tech and everybody over there to look at my hair because my hair naturally had 4 different colors in it:
Yeah, yeah.
white, silver, blonde, and brown streaks in it.
Blonde too. Wow.
Yeah, don't know where that came from. But, yeah. Hey, we're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Connie Willis from Coast to Coast AM and Blue Rock Talk is our guest today. And when we return on Spaced Out Radio, we are going to get into her love of Sasquatch. Why does she love the beautiful, badass Bigfoot? We are going to get into that with Connie here momentarily on Spaced Out Radio. You have to go to break. But don't worry, we're going to save the stories until we return. My name is Dave Scott. This is Spaced Out Radio, and we are going to bring you Sasquatch Talk with Connie Willis, our guest, right after this. Stay tuned, everybody.
say something I shouldn't have.
There we go. So just for your listeners, we are a hybrid between a live YouTube podcast as well as a radio show. So we have to take commercial breaks to time out with our radio broadcast, as you know from following Connie. But the good news is you actually get to see behind the scenes for a couple of minutes on all the small talk we're going to make.
Yeah. So right now we're still on YouTube.
Yeah, and the podcast. Yeah.
Okay. And we're okay. So,
and if you notice, I'm chatting with your listeners in your TikTok right now too.
Oh, are you good? Okay, excellent. And
Yes.
when you were naming people off in the live chat, you were naming Blue Rockers in there. I was like, all right, Blue Rockers.
Yeah, I have this weird thing that everybody who comes into my chat room, I have to say hello to. It's
yes.
I have to do it. It's just it's part of my ADHD.
But you should. No, I think it's a broadcasting thing.
Yeah.
There's so many things that we do in radio and TV, and I think it was around 2008, 9, 10, 11, YouTube was happening. All this internet stuff was happening. And that's when I was trying to put it into, all my background into that, so I don't have to audition again. I don't have to go, oh, what's the axle F connected to whatever, and learn all that stuff. So I was trying to do it myself. Everything, and with that broadcasting background that you and I both have, and the TV and the radio stuff, you start looking at it. How can I manipulate this correctly? Because that's how you think. You don't think that it can't do it, but it didn't have all of the things needed yet. And I was trying to pull them all together, and I'm still trying to do that because they don't have totally everything that somebody with that background would know to do already. They're catching up. And it's too bad because they could have hired network people along the way, and they would have got them up to speed real fast.
You know what's funny? I'll let you in on a little secret. And I don't say this much. But when I worked in the newsroom in Vancouver, you guys were on a different station in Vancouver, and while our broadcast was going on, we were listening to you guys on Coast. That's cool. How much we loved it. Is that we'd have to listen to the competitor to listen to Coast, whether it was you or George or Art back in the day.
That's excellent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm really blessed to be on the show. I love it. I love being on the show. I mean, come on, it's coast to coast, right? It's amazing. It's iconic. It's wonderful. And I had said when I left, I was in music radio for a long time, and when I left music radio to go to television, I was like, I'll only go back to radio if it's live. Well, it's always live. Radio's always live. If it's talk, and the talk is something I know. So I was actually, before I was brought on with Coast, I was actually trying to put together my own show. And at that point, it was called High Strangeness Radio. I know somebody else uses that now, but back then, nobody had it. And it was going to be called High Strangeness Radio. And I was hoping to have it on before Coast came on, like a lead-in show. And I really, as much as I heard about syndication in radio, I never really learned what it was all about, because I got into TV, and TV syndication is very different than the radio syndication, where I had like a huge television person behind me going with me to radio syndicates to try to get this on. And he could not figure out how the syndication worked. And it was basically, it's basically, okay, we start in Kansas City and we see how it goes. Then we add Millsville, Ohio. Then we add Tampa, Florida. Then, you just add another and another affiliate and another affiliate, and Canada, and I don't want, I'm an American over there talking about the States. Sorry, we got to include our Canadian friends.
Hey, don't forget, literally 90% of my audience is in the U.S.
Okay.
Hold on right there. I want to say a big thank you to Mike Bothwell ×2 for the super chat. Why did I decide to bring Swamp Dweller back? Because we did not get rid of Steve Stockton. We moved Steve Stockton to the weekend, so that way we have story coverage right through our to kick off hour number 3, right through the week now, and that way we get the best of both worlds, man. That's what we do. Big thank you to all of Connie's listeners who've come on in and hit subscribe and rang that bell on our YouTube channel. We very much appreciate it. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store on our website. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. You can wear our stuff in public. Here we go. Here we go in the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning us in as we talk with Connie Willis from Coast to Coast AM and Blue Rock Talk. But before we bring Connie on, I want to remind all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on any major podcast network as well. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Now, I will say this. I'm pretty excited because Connie Willis of Coast to Coast AM fame and Blue Rock Talk, her and I will actually be sharing the airwaves next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, filling in for Sterling every damn night. We're not allowed to say darn. It's got to be Sterling every damn night.
It's not every night, though, is it? Because we're there, so it's not every night.
I know, but I'm going to try and find a bow tie just so I could wear a bow tie in place of Walter M. Sterling, the host. And that's on 1210 WPHT from 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, if you want to tune in, to midnight Eastern. And then following that, I got to come right back on to Spaced Out Radio. As soon as I log off the air with Connie, I got to come right back on the air, and we will have Spaced Out Radio right after that. It's going to be a power show of like 6 hours of radio right
And I'll
there.
be like in dave's that point. I'll be going, Dave's got to work.
Just remember, when you're sawing logs, just dream of me behind the microphone. You know, by this time, you know, I'm going to be like through like 2 packs of gum, you know.
Is that what you do? You do gum to keep you up?
No, I don't do gum.
Oh, okay.
But, you know, I tell you this, I will have throat lozenges for me. So that way my throat doesn't dry out. Lots of water. I'll probably have a bunch of water in here, glasses everywhere. But,
Well, you know, it's nice to have good microphones because then you don't have to really project your voice. Doing the TikTok thing now, it doesn't have any setups like that. You're just basically talking into your phone, and it's great because you don't need the headphones. You don't. It's nice in a way. It's very convenient, but you also you feel like you got to project because you don't have that mic right there in front of you, picking up every little nuance and every little whatever you want to give. It's great.
I know. You know what? I remember, true story, before we get into Bigfoot here. After my first year of broadcasting school, my head instructor calls me into the office and he goes, "You're gasping for air on the air. You're never going to make it in radio if you're gasping for air." He goes, "Do you have a problem with your nose?" I said, "Well, hockey has not been kind to my nose."
True. You Canadians and your hockey and your nose. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I actually quit playing hockey, in order to get nose surgery, so I could get into broadcasting.
Cool.
So, yeah. And now my audience, because I won't even notice, and eventually my audience will say, as the night goes on, my nose will start squeaking as I breathe. And all of a sudden they'll be like, "Oh, there's Dave's mouse again."
Oh, that's embarrassing.
Yeah. And,
Did that just happen?
Next week, Connie, I am so excited to be hosting Sterling every damn night with you on Tuesday and Wednesday. It's going to be a blast, and I don't know what we're going to talk about, but I have a feeling it'll be about the subjects we are on 1210 WPHT, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's just, it's just fun sitting around talking. Conversation or conversation.
Nice play.
I know, thanks.
Why do
It's
you love
fun.
Bigfoot so much?
Why what?
Why do you love Bigfoot so much?
Why do I love Bigfoot so much? You know what? Like, you got turned on to everything like at 38. So as a kid, and I didn't even incorporate the little white flowy things or anything like that. I was just obviously open to things, I guess. You're a kid, but the first house that we were in, I remember that in the basement it was haunted. And then the next place that we lived, I've only lived in, 2 places as kids growing up in the family and stuff. The next place we went was haunted. And I mean haunted. I mean, and I was a scared little kid. Wherever it was, I really got good at detecting where it was. And I really liked that happened because I wanted to know where it was in the house so I could be far away from it. I didn't like it at all. It scared me because you could feel the presence of it, but you couldn't see it. And there would be times you could feel it sit on your bed. I got my little bunk bed and I'm sitting in, those single beds and stuff like that as a kid. And something would sit next to me and stay there and be right there for a long period of time and look over me. And I hated it. I couldn't wait for the sun to come up. It seemed like whenever there was light, it wasn't really happening. Unless you were alone, then you recognized it, I guess, because, maybe too much other energy was happening. But it scared me to death. So, but that led to being able to watch. My mom was into it too. My sister was. Nobody else in the family was. But that led you to be able to watch certain movies and certain TV shows and Star Trek and ghost shows or whatever, and you were okay with it and you understood it. So that ended up leading to eventually, if you're into ghosts, you also can understand the psychic world, right? And you can understand a whole bunch of other things that work with hauntings and ghosts and stuff like that. But then from there, it takes you to, at least television wise and movie wise, it leads you into like alien stuff and ET stuff, right? Or at least with me. And so then I got into that world and it was like, man, this is all pretty interesting stuff. I'm totally open to it. It's really something fun. And I was a Charlton Heston fan, and he did a bunch of cool things, and Planet of the Apes and all that, right? And the Omega Man and all these really cool things, right? And just the different shows like that you got into because there was nothing to do where I was. If you weren't doing sports or in school, you're watching cable, right? Because cable came out. You had 3 networks at one point, and then you had cable is what happened, and there's nothing to do. Dad might give you $5 for the week. What's that going to get you? But maybe a movie at that time, or you would be home other than that, and you're just watching TV. So for the most part, I'm a Gen X, so we watched a lot of TV. And so from ETs and all that kind of stuff, you're just open to anything else. So at one point in my life, I was, did all the radio stuff and was doing all this TV stuff. And then it was into the world of YouTube is there. Let me see if I can pull together a show. I don't want to audition anymore. I want to make my own show. I don't want a network telling me what to do, how to do it. Climax for the commercial break, talking about Ghost or whatever it is. And then you got to, they fake so much in a lot of these shows, right? Especially back then they would make the creak happen from the door. And it was like, oh man, that was a production assistant. That's a PA that just did that, or things like that, right? So as I started doing stuff like that, I was connected because of the radio, all the TV stuff that I was doing to TV people. And at one point I was introduced to Mark Victor. Mark Victor was one of the writers on the blockbuster Poltergeist. And So he at the time was doing, and I think he still got it up there. He was doing Paranormal World on YouTube, and there was another one, I think it was Paranormal X, actually. And I think it's all still on here now. So Mark, come on, Poltergeist, right? This is huge. This is big time. As Hollywood, Steven Spielberg presented it as well. And what he was doing is he was pulling documentaries into the show, and he was just loading up all these documentaries. And I was bringing in some really cool documentaries. He basically hired me. Connie, you're into this stuff. You get some documentaries happening. You'll get a cut of it. Bring it in. We'll sign a contract with them, and we'll put it on our YouTube channel. So this was all brand new, right? Well, somebody had sent me. And you would know these documentaries. These are the best of the best. He was like, "You're not kidding around, are you?" I'm like, "Did I do something wrong here? Isn't this what you do?" So somebody sent me some Bigfoot stuff, and it was very amateur. And I thought, "Oh man, this is pretty cool." And I called up Mark. I said, "You good with Bigfoot stuff?" Because we didn't have any Bigfoot stuff. And he said, "Oh, well, send it to me." And I sent it. Now this is amateur stuff back in. I don't know, maybe 2010, 11, something like that, maybe 12 or something like that. I was in Philly at the time. I was living in Philly, working at QVC at the time. And he said, "Well, we can't do this. We can't do anything with this." I said, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "This is cool." And he goes, No. It's got to be professional. It's got to be, he's Mr. Hollywood working with Spielberg, Poltergeist, Blockbuster. And then he was the guy that went on and directed Poltergeist 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, bazillion, right? So he was like, "No, we need the real stuff here." And, he wanted multi-million-dollar productions and things like, or whatever, he just wanted some money into it. And I said, "No, listen, you're on YouTube. There's playlists. You got to have one that's amateur. You got to have one of the researchers. That's the way it's going to be." This was all new, right, Dave? This was all new. So I was like, "No, you have to do this because these are the real researchers. These are your audience, the people that watch those documentaries." Here I am talking to this big Hollywood guy, right? I'm going, "No, you need to do this." And bring in your buddy Spielberg, I'll talk to him about it. This is what you need to do. Because you got a playlist, you can add the amateur. He's like, and I think he might have thought about it, and he might be doing that stuff now. But that's how. So the people that had and sent me that amateur Bigfoot stuff, they got in contact with me, and they said, "You want to go sometime?" And I thought, I never even thought about Bigfoot, but. Okay, now at this point, I had been hanging out with David Jacobs, Dr. David Jacobs, and Bud Hopkins before he passed away. So I was all about the alien abduction. Okay, so I was into the abductions. I was all about that. I studied that for years with the best researchers of all. Dr. David M. Jacobs, my absolute favorite. I mean, and he got it all from Bud Hopkins. Bud didn't really get into what I think David and what I believe until the end of his life. And he told it to me. And not a lot of people even know that Bud got to a point of going, "Hey, I don't think these are good guys. I don't think what's going on is it's a good thing." And I was in his apartment in New York when he said that to me. So I got to get that firsthand from him. But so I was coming straight from the abduction stories and abductee documentaries and things like that. So they said, "You want to go?" I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds sure." I never thought of Bigfoot. Never. Who thought of Bigfoot? I read a book once when I was 6 years old. It was like Yeti. It was called Yeti. And so I think everybody in the world thought there was one that walked the earth, right? So, yes. Right? I mean, and that's about where it was. And these people, I was living in Florida. Wait a minute. No. I had moved from Florida. I was in Philly, or was I still in Florida? Yeah, I flew down to Florida to meet the people that had all this, they were going to an area in Alabama. So I had to fly to Florida, meet them, and then we drove up to Alabama. And it was where I used to live. So I'm like, man, it's too bad that I didn't know this stuff back then. But they said that they had an area in Alabama that they went to that had two tribes, two clans, and one was nicer than the other. And they just said that they would go up there and they would have all these experiences and all these happenings. Now, they vetted me before they allowed me to come. They asked me all these questions. They told me all these things to be prepared for and this and that. They didn't tell me everything, but they prepared me, and they made sure that I would be someone that they would like. And that is extremely important to do. And it was at least a minimum of 15 hours of conversations. And then we ended up meeting, and I flew down to Florida. I met the people for the first time, and it's just like TV projects, right? You come out of nowhere and you meet all these people for a season or something like that you never met before. By the end of that season, you know everybody. You leave, and then sometimes you come back to the same people, sometimes you don't. But so you're used to always working with strangers for the most part, but you all have that same common cause of some sort. So we went up to Alabama and met some other people. And the very first night I had communication. But before that, when I was interviewing everybody myself, I was like, hey, yeah, I might as well go ahead and interview some people. And when I started, now this was the very first part of the day, I had that microphone like you had, and I pointed it to them. And I would say, okay, so you've had experience with Bigfoot? Yeah. Tell me about that. Well, actually, see that hill over there? Yeah, look at the hill. Let's see.
Beautiful hill.
Yeah, it was Alabama. It wasn't like Vancouver. It wasn't like the Rockies at all. So they would say something like, let me think of one. The girl said, actually, that hill right there. They would say, so I heard one coming, and it was right there on that hill right there. And then all of a sudden, and those are I always thought I want to do a TV show that's called All of a Sudden, because all of a sudden, and then you hear something creepy, right? Whatever the all of a sudden, right after all of a sudden, there's, it's a colon, and then there's something creepy. So they all said, I heard one coming. I heard one coming down the walkway. I heard one coming down the path, or I heard one coming up the hill. And then they'd say all of a sudden, and they would tell me whatever the story was. Hold on here. Uh-oh. They cut me off on TikTok. I might have to start that all over. Well, I'll start it again. It says lack of activity. No. So I, at one point I stopped. If they were giving me their stories, and there were two things. First of all, when they're telling me their stories, I was like, oh my gosh, this sounds just like an abductee. These sound just like alien stories, but they're big hairy guys. And it was the same type of interaction, the same type of feelings, the same type of pretty much everything, except it was a big hairy guy or girl, or juvenile, but it just sounded like alien abductee stories, and I was really amazed at that. The other thing was, I said, okay, all of you all told me you heard one, then all of a sudden. So tell me what it was before. When you say you heard one, what do you mean you heard one? Oh, well, see that hill over there? Okay, it was going down that hill, and you could hear crash, bang, and the pulling down of trees and stepping on branches and logs. And like we would step on twigs, they step on logs and crack them, where we step on twigs and just, like a little tink, whatever like that. And they all said the same thing. They said, oh, you hear it. You can tell it's bipedal. You can tell the weight from the way it crashes on the foliage. You can literally see trees and bushes being pushed down where they're walking through. And it was just amazing what they said. And I knew they were telling the truth. I knew they had nothing to gain by it. And they were so authentic. It was amazing. But I had contact early on, thank goodness. And, so that's where it was. When they start talking to you, and I'll end it on this note, the first thing they said the second I stepped out of the vehicle where we were looking for a spot to camp, they said, we're highly advanced and we're everywhere. And I repeated it back, and I knew they had given that to me, and I said it out loud, and the guy, Pat Vance is his name, who had vetted me, he said, that sounds about like them. And that was it, and I believe that absolutely. They're highly advanced and they're everywhere. I don't think, I think they'll prank you, but I don't think they'll lie to you. I don't think they have that in them.
We have had a couple of encounters up here as we got about 4.5 minutes before the break. We had an encounter, about a month and a bit ago, just over a month ago, where we were being stalked. And the creature that was stalking us took us into an area. We led us down a path. We found a 17-inch footprint. We could hear it moving through the trees. Couldn't see it. 20 minutes later, we go back to our base camp, and 10 feet from our tent, there is a fresh 17-inch track right there. And we followed that path where the 17-inch track was facing, and there was a 7.5, 8 foot, I'm going to call it a staff, leaning right against a tree.
Huh.
And now this is interesting about this staff on a couple of reasons. Right before we went out for about 20 minutes looking around, we were stuck under the tent for about an hour with a torrential downpour. And everything was soaking wet. That staff was dry, except about 2.5, 3 feet up. There was a section there, to this day, is still looking wet, and it feels greasy.
Ooh.
So I think that's where they were holding it. The second that staff was when you turned it at the bottom, it was all dirty, like it had been twisted out of the ground. And there was fresh dirt on the bottom. The third interesting part about that staff was we have video of us going up and down that trail. That staff is not there, leaning against a tree. It's not there. And the fourth interesting part about that staff, and the final one, I promise.
No, it's
is
good.
In 2018, in that exact spot, my paranormal investigator friend Merle got chased out of that area by a Sasquatch that snuck up about 20 feet behind him and was stuck in behind the heavy bush, grunting and growling and snorting and stomping his feet and shaking branches at him. My theory of it all is that was the same Sasquatch from 2018 who recognized Merle, saying, "Here's a gift for you. I'm sorry."
Oh, wow.
That's what I think happened.
And you have to trust your intuition on those things, because I think a lot of that is them letting you know that too. So if you got that thought, you just got to trust that as the intuition and go with it. So I think you're right. You were the one that was there, and that came to you, and I'm sure they're just amazing, the way they communicate. You get the mind speak, even if it's just a thought placement or whatever people want to call it. You get it. Your intuition is amazing, and we don't use it enough. And I think people like me, like you, obviously we trust our intuition in those situations, and you got to. Some people's intuition is not just way off, though, right? You got to watch out. Everything's a fairy, everything's a Bigfoot, everything's an alien. You got to watch that. But when you're really into it and you are really open and wanting to know the truth of it all, it is all given to you really easily and naturally.
Yeah. And in that spot too, Connie, I would love to take you there. I'd love to take anybody there. It is actually in a spot which is where Canada's largest unsolved mass murder happened.
Oh, geez. I don't know if I want to go there.
It is a plane crash site from 1965.
Is that the one where they ate
No.
each other? No. Okay.
No, there was a bomb on board the plane flying from Vancouver to Whitehorse, Yukon. And there was a bomb on the plane. It blew up the plane. It crashed in this area. And my feeling is, as we go to break here, that the Sasquatch are there to protect the sacredness of that land.
Huh.
That's what I believe they're there for. But Connie, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. From Coast to Coast AM and Blue Rock Talk, ConnieWillis.com is her website. Legendary broadcaster Connie Willis. We're going to continue with the monster talk, the Bigfoot talk, and maybe we'll squeeze in some UFO talk in hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio coming up right after this break. Stay tuned, everybody. We will be right back. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, we are clear.
Okay, sorry. Was I talking over everything? Am I messing it up?
I had you on.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the old radio mute trick. You know that one.
Yeah, use it at any time so I can do it and fix it. So I'm going to fix I think I'm going to fix my TikTok thing.
All right, you go do that. We got about 6.5 minutes. I'm going to bring Dirty Filth up here so that way we can look at his art and he can tell us where we can find his book and everything. That only if he remembers to put his microphone on.
I've got it ready this time, Dave.
All right.
I made notes.
Good job. I'll be right back. It's all yours, Filthy.
It's all mine. Hello, everybody. I decided I was going to draw my December drawing early so I can have it ready before I get the calendar out. Because it's probably better to draw the cartoon for December before December. Have the cartoon calendar out before December as well. So, yes. Hello, Whiskey. My grumpy cat showed up. Grumpy cat hardly ever shows up. So, Connie, I drew a picture of a playoff Sasquatch earlier this year. Would you like to have a look at it?
Yeah.
There he is. Hockey helmet and all. Have you tried to remodulate the phase variance on the EPS manifold?
Hold on 1 second. I can't get my phone. Here we go. Okay. I'm sorry. Here I am. I want to see your stuff because I love this kind of work.
This is my playoff Sasquatch. Can you see this stuff?
Yeah, it's very tiny.
Okay.
I'm looking. Be like Sasquatch. Always recycle your empties. That is great. I love your style.
Thanks.
I love it.
This was the one for tonight. I think you've seen that one already. I got a couple more Sasquatch ones handy. I dug them up when Dave mentioned that you were big into Sasquatch. So I did this one. This is DAS Auto. It's Dogman and Sasquatch Auto. Can you quit bugging with the chair? Sorry, cats. Ow.
Oh, the cats. Oh, that's what
they're out of
cats
control.
Do. They are cats.
I've got usually blobs up here, but anyway. So there's Sasquatch selling a scratch and dent, and then the poor aliens. He's getting ripped off, right? So he goes over to the Dogman, who's the mechanic. It's like, I can work the claw marks out, no problem. And also, there's a Mothman peeking over the top of the auto shop.
That's Mothman.
Yeah,
I love it. I love that cartoony style.
I've been slowly building up a giant world of this stuff, and I got my second book. I'm working on that one. I got the first one. If you go to, I should mention that to everybody. If you go to filthy.com, FYLTHY.com, then you can get a copy of my book. I wouldn't suggest getting a calendar now. Wait till the next one comes out. You could get one now if you wanted, but kind of moot. But anyways, I got my second book coming out, and I'm working on a short little comic about some gray aliens attempting to make some money by photographing a clear picture of Sasquatch, but it doesn't turn out for them.
Say that again. You're trying to get it?
So the cartoon, I'm doing a short comic, and the whole premise.
On the panel, right?
Yeah, like
the one panel.
More than one panel.
Oh, okay.
So they basically hang out at a space bar, so something like this. And so what happens is the aliens figure they're going to try to get a clear picture of Sasquatch and sell it for money. However, it doesn't work out for them, and Yeah, they go through a couple shenanigans, and eventually, in the end, they just pay their tab and go home.
That's excellent. I mean, you know the stuff, so that's really cool that happens like that. I like it. I like it.
Yes. Oh yes, thanks Tim for linking it. Every time I try to link things on the chat, it always ends up going all wonky. I don't think I have moderator privileges, otherwise I'd do that. I just draw the cartoons and try not to swear when I am on. That's why they put me on mute. Cats attacking me every couple seconds, and swearing when you get stabbed with little cat needles.
Yeah.
Well, hi Dave.
Well,
Hi, Dirty Phil. How are you?
That's why it's filthy.
Pretty good.
Then.
There we go. Mr. Cowley, how you doing? Good to see you back. Big thank you to Mike Bothwell ×2 for the super chats. Bagel Dogs, welcome. How are you? Did I miss anybody else? Carla, nice to see you. And thank you to all our new subscribers. Debbie Shrewsbury, welcome to SOR Chat.
Techno Deb.
Yes.
That's who that is. That's her nickname. She's really good technically. That's why we call her that. And that's being smart aleck.
Nice. Love it.
Good. We got Anita. Hey, Anita.
Yes, Ukrainian Anita. There she is. I have some Bigfoot drawings here. Beautiful.
Who's Ukrainian Anita? Is that the Anita I know? You call her Ukrainian Anita?
Well, because she's Ukrainian, but she lives in, I think, Seattle.
You talking about Anita, this one that says hi, love?
Yes.
Is she saying it to you or me? Because I know her too.
Nope. Here we go. Hold on.
Hey, Anita.
All right, here comes hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. I'm always that guy who's got tinfoil wrapped around in something. You just get to use your imagination to figure out where it is tonight. I want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam is set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What is this? A Becadarian. A Becadarian is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. All right, let's get right to it. Connie Willis, you may know her voice from Coast to Coast AM and Blue Rock Talk. We're talking some monsters with her. Her website, ConnieWillis.com. One of the great broadcasters in our field, and we're so happy that she is here for the first time. Connie, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for being, saying, hey, Connie, make this happen. I think you told me at one point, I've been trying to get you on for 8 years or something. I was like, I'm trying to get my website together.
I hear you. But for our fans, your fans and my fans who are tuning on in, both Connie and I will be hosting next Tuesday and Wednesday, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Sterling every damn night. On Tuesday and Wednesday, we're filling in for Walter M. Sterling on WPHT 1210 a.m. out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So we will be on the air together on those nights, sharing weird, strange, spooky encounters and stories. We're going to have a blast, and I hope you all join us there as well. So
Market 4 in the States.
Exactly. I love Walter. I still don't know how he found me to do his show every damn night, but I go on there every night. 6 days a week I'm on with him.
Yeah, you're on is it the last 45 minutes or so or something like that? So you do something else first?
About a 7-minute, 8-minute segment with him.
Oh, that's all. Okay.
Every night.
So I took you on longer then.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, there you go. See?
Yes. So we're going to get into your encounters, my encounters, and all the high strangeness that's going on. It's going to be a lot of fun. So much fun. We're talking Bigfoot here, and I want to continue this conversation because one of the great debates, Connie, is this creature flesh and blood, or is there something supernatural about it? And this is the great debate that continues on and will not go away. To this day, every day you can find a new argument on Facebook groups and conversations along those lines. What does Connie Willis think about this?
Oh man, I think people when they get into these subjects, they think too much like a human, and they think it's got to be this or it's got to be that, and they don't even think about what it might be that we don't even have in our minds to even imagine. Right? They're not us, but I've seen them, and they look like, I haven't touched one or anything like that, but I've seen them, and you hear them breathe, and you hear them grunt, and oh my goodness, when you hear them breathe, they just keep sucking in air, and you just realize how big their lungs are. It's amazing. But I absolutely believe they're, flesh, they're real, but they also have all these other phenomenal things about them. They're extremely fast. They're terribly or wonderfully elusive, I guess. They communicate with you. They have with me. I thank goodness they have. And they probably communicate with more people. They just don't really realize what's going on, or they just think it's their own mind because they're not open to what it just might be. Because when you start having a conversation out in the woods where they are, and like you said earlier, Dave, you feel them. When they're around, you feel them. Unlike an ET, well, they'll sneak up on you and you don't know what's going on. Next thing you know, you're walking funny or something like that, for 2 days. But the Bigfoot, are around. You feel them, you know it. There's an acknowledgement kind of thing. But when you start getting communication and you're doing it back and forth, it's very natural. It's so natural you don't even recognize that you do it until it's over. And then you're, oh my gosh, what was that? And sometimes people don't even ever recognize it, don't think about recognizing it or want to recognize it. But it's happening, and it's a wonderful thing when it does happen. So hold on to that, people. That's special. If they talk to you, that's a special thing. So I think they have incredible powers, and it's not like, like Harry Potter power kind of thing. It's natural abilities and senses that we just don't have or have never, or maybe we do, and they're locked in until they're unlocked. And I think they unlock a lot of those, by the way.
In 2022, we had 4 of us, my son and 2 of my best friends and I, had an encounter at our Sasquatch spot with a 10-foot being. And he was lit up by the moonlight. It was a full moon night. And where I live, there is no street lights. We're literally about 20 miles into the forest.
Really? How high are you up there? What's the elevation?
We're not as high as you guys are, but we're about 3/4 of a mile above sea level.
Okay, well, this is Denver, where all the marijuana comes from, so people are high here. You're right.
Well, British Columbia and Colorado have a lot in common that way.
That's right. What am I thinking? That's right.
But this creature, when we were probably 80 yards away from it, and not only did we have the moonlight on it, we had 2 flashlights on it.
You had, okay, before you finish, and I have to ask you this, because you've mentioned a light a few times. And if you want them to back off, just shine a light on them and they'll take off. But yours are like going, "Hey, give me the spotlight, bring it on." Yeah. They don't run.
This guy here, the reason why we know he was 10 feet is because he was actually standing behind a very small fir tree. Okay, and we measured that tree at 8 feet. And we knew he was towering over that.
Isn't that crazy?
But the funny part about it was he was standing there in the exact, the position of the walking where they kind of pause, where you get the head, the shoulders, the torso, and the legs. And we're looking at him. And we're like, oh my God, like here we go. This
Yeah.
is amazing. There he is. If he would have went to his left, our right, he would have had to climb over a bunch of fallen trees. We would have heard him. If he went to his right, our left, he would have had to cross the logging road and go up an embankment about 7-8 feet into the trees. We would have seen him. If he backed off into the darkness, we would have seen him disappear in the dark. If he came forward, we would have watched him get closer. To this day, 4 of us have no idea how he vanished.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was just gone.
And there's a lot of theories, right? A lot of people have theories that they can just go invisible. That's the biggest one. They cloak themselves. But I had something similar to that. And this was in Alabama. It was amazing. These are real talkative and very curious groups out there. I mean, they were amazing. They liked me. I love that. They liked me. Thank you. I was the new one, and I think I might have been the only blonde-haired one. And one of the nights they brought kids. People brought their kids, and they literally used the kids as bait. They put their tent right by the tree line. I'm like, are you all kidding me? These things are huge. And, I'm still new to it, right? Even, you got to be careful about all this stuff. They're like, oh no, they love the kids and it's all fine. So these people trusted their kids being in the tree line of the tents and put them all in there. I think they would have tied them up to a tree and just said, here you go. It was amazing. But we were sitting by the campfire, me and this other guy, and all the other people were out, doing research. It was all late at night, and they're going to certain different fields. It was actually a hunting club. Okay, so they're going to different areas. So we were in this private hunting club alone, no one else except the Bigfooters. And so everybody's at a different field, and this field and that field, and there were 2 of us, and the kids had already been put to bed into the tent, and there was one of the parents. And he said, well, good night to me and the other guy that was there sitting across from me, and all new people to me, right? But this guy came up and he goes, well, you know what? I'm going to go to bed. I'm set up over there by the kids. So he takes off, and he had, when you do events with me, if you do creepy hotspots with me on my Blue Rock Talk Show, if you do creepy hotspots, that's where I do live investigations. No drinking, no drugs, no anything for the 3 nights, 4 days that we're there. If you can't handle it, then you're not going to come anyway, but you just don't do that. Not during the research. This is the real deal. But this was kind of an outing for most people, and this was, one of those kinds of things. But I'm still not doing any of that. I want to know what's going on. I want to experience this and feel all this. So anyway, the guy had a couple beers, and he's a really nice guy, and he goes over to where the tents are, and you can barely see them with the fire going. So he goes over, and they're by the tree line. And again, this is a hunting area, right? So this is like obviously a flat spot where they put corn on it, whatever they do. It's a little mixed feelings about some of that stuff. But anyway, it's like, oh, don't hurt that little Bambi over there. Don't do that. So he's gone, you don't see him anymore. And then he comes back, and he goes, hey, y'all, I'm telling you, there's a couple Bigfoot right by the tree line, right where all the kids are. And I'm looking at him like, not that he was crazy or anything, and he had a little slur in his talk, but it wasn't, like that. It was, I was taking a leak, he gave the whole thing, taking a leak, and I hear them, and they're right there by the kids. Y'all want to come? Because that's why we were there, right? To be around them. And I'm thinking, there's all these other groups and people that have been doing this for decades, and they're out over this field and that field and over here and doing their own research. And here they are right by us, right at the tree line, right where the baited kids are, right? And so he goes, I was just going to the bathroom and I heard him. So we're like, yeah, we'll go. I looked at the other guy. Yeah, I'll go. Okay. So we go. And as we're walking over there, I'm thinking, they're going to be gone by now. Come on. When are they? There's a ghost in the corner. Come look. Oh, it's not there anymore, right? There's a Bigfoot over there. Oh, it's not there anymore. You're right. You've heard that over and over again. It's like, just enjoy it because it's going to be gone in a heartbeat. So we walk over there. And as we're walking, there's this real tall grass that he's taking us through. And all I'm thinking is, especially being from Kentucky, I'm thinking, okay, we're in Alabama. Snakes. what else is out here? But I definitely thought this is where that guy was taking a leak. So I'm like, oh man, I mean, this grass was up to here. So I'm thinking, oh, if I run into wet grass, I'm going to get sick. I'm going to throw up because I knew it would be where he went to the bathroom. So we stand in a certain spot and he goes, listen, or just stop. So we just stopped. There's 3 of us, right? I'm in the middle of both of them because I'm thinking, there's no fence here. This isn't a zoo. There's nothing between us and them. And the tree line's about 3 feet away from us. So I'm standing there thinking, oh man, no wet grass. And what's going on? And then all of a sudden this is what I heard. I heard. But it kept going. That's where I heard that first breathing, where they took air into their lungs. It just kept going. I thought, at first you're like, what is that? And then you realize it is something breathing, and it's way bigger than you would say a bear or anything else. It just kept going. And then I don't even know if it exhaled. I just remember the breathing in. And then I heard a growl and then a second growl. And you could tell that there was one squatted and one standing up. And I'm going, it's 3 feet away. There's 2 of them, 3 feet away. I can't believe it. And I'm thinking, it's pitch black. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, I got one of these lights on my head. I'm going to turn the red light on, right? And I'll be able to see it. And this one dude, the one guy's still kind of drunk and just going. The other guy starts going into some Native American dance or something. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? That's what I'm thinking inside. What is this? But I'm thinking there's 2 Bigfoot right there. You don't even got to dance for them to come around. They're right there. And so I'm thinking in my head, I'm going to turn on this light. Watch this. I'm going to see him. And I hit it. Nothing. Absolutely nothing was there. I knew there were 2. Heard them breathing, heard them growling, but they didn't go off we didn't hear them go off to the left, to the right, to the back. We would have heard them. So exactly like what you said. Exactly the same thing.
If you notice on camera, I actually had a smile when you were bringing up the children because I actually use my son as bait. I do.
I believe it.
In our area, we don't do the trail hiking for them. We literally let them come to us.
Yeah, that's all you got to do. That's absolutely true.
They have curiosity like a house cat.
Yeah.
They can't help themselves.
Yeah.
And Connie, God is my witness. My son gets the telepathy from them.
Mind speak.
He gets the mind speak. And he knows when they're around. Yeah. He knows where they are. Like the other day when we were in the forest, he goes, Dad, I'm picking up. He goes, I'm getting something from over there. And we were all looking in a different area. And sure enough, about half an hour later, that's where we heard the thump, thump. And Tim saw the shadow move through the trees. Mm. Okay. Like my son has been sitting there and all of a sudden he'll be like, Dad, they're here. And
you can tell. Okay, yeah.
Well, where are they? Tell me about it. And he'll point in the direction, and all of a sudden, a little bit later, you'll start hearing sounds from that direction. It is, if I didn't see it to believe it, I wouldn't believe it. And, I'm not one of these people who wants to, say my child is a weirdo or my child has, because there's a lot of skeptics out there who say you're putting your child in a bad situation, reputation wise, or whatever society has conformed for him. But that's not the case. I've seen it way too many times with him out in the forest to not say that there isn't something there. And it's not just me. It's my friends who are around us, because we never go out there alone. It's my
No.
friends who are around us
Good.
who are witnessing this too. And,
It's
you know,
real.
it is. And when they are around, do you ever, you know what I love about their energy when they're around? We got about 4.5 minutes before we have to go to break here. Connie Willis is our guest. Is when they're around, you get that giddy type of energy. Like their energy is just like so energized. Like all of a sudden they're here. Where are they? Where are they? And you start looking all around. And we get that a lot up here.
Mm-hmm.
Picking that up, and we haven't been wrong yet. We don't see them every time. We can hear certain things, but we don't see them every time. We've only had the one sighting there, but have we known they've been around a little bit more? Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, you're exactly right. They come to you, and that's all you got to do. You don't have to go searching for them. They come to you. And this is something too, a lot of people, oh, they're nocturnal, they're nocturnal. And this is what I say to that. If you want to see one in the day, go out in the day and look for them, because you will. You know, when everybody goes at night all the time, it's like, you don't have to wait till night. And at night, you can't really see them. You might get to see them. It's not as easy. They might be right next to you, and you don't know it.
Very true.
But if you want to see one in the day, go out in the day and you'll see one. And just talk to them the same way. I do the mind speak. You know, that's where I learned, okay, the mind speak is in the Bigfoot world. You know, that's what Blue Rock Talk is all about. Okay, so it's Earth's most interesting conversations. Blue Rock is the Earth. It's the blue rock out there. When people see, we're the blue planet, we're the rock, we're the third rock from the sun, right? We're a blue rock. And where was I going with this? With the Bigfoot, with
the mind speak.
The show. The show is about ETs, Bigfoot, hauntings, just different things across the board, and how they all match. Okay, so in the ghost world, you have orbs. In the ET world and alien world, you have orbs. And in the Bigfoot world, you have orbs. Go into psychic and mediumship and all this other stuff too. Like you have in the ghost world, you have Aunt Betsy is talking to me. My guides, they're talking to me. Bigfoot world, it's mind speak. They're talking to me. Alien world, telepathy. They're talking to me. Remote viewing has something called P7, which is when you hear a voice and it gives you a real clear answer of what you're looking at as a target. So that's where my show is really deep into that stuff and how they all connect. And they're the same thing. You know, it's all the same kind of thing. So the Mind Speak Native Americans picked that up. You know, they're like, hey, we have the Bigfoot in our world. Mind Speak is what it's called, right? So, you know, that's how that came across. But you're talking about things in your area very similar to the area up here in the Colorado Rockies. And you're in the Vancouver the Canadian Rockies.
Well, I am west of the Rockies by about 3 hours.
Okay.
I'm kind of in between what we call the Fraser Canyon, which is where the Cascade Mountains of Vancouver, they kind of lead into what we call the Fraser Canyon. And then there's where we are on top of the mountains. And then right beside us is the Rockies that goes straight down to where you are.
Okay.
So I'm kind of in between on top of those mountain peaks there. And it's really cool because we have, not only up here do we have a lot of hauntings through the old Gold Rush Trail that starts in Virginia City in Nevada, but we also have a high level and a high concentration of UFO and Bigfoot sightings.
Yeah. They go together.
They sure do.
They go together.
They sure do. We got about 30 seconds before we have to go to break. And Connie, we've talked a lot about Bigfoot tonight, but there's a big UFO story that's out there right now. And I know you're following it. I'm following it.
I don't know. I might be. I don't know. You'll have to tell me.
Well, just in regards to the disclosure movement and where all that mess is going, how the media has kind of traded that. And I want to get your opinion on that. We're going to talk more monsters as well. We have Connie Willis until the top of the hour. She's of Coast to Coast AM and of her live stream, Blue Rock Talk. Her website is conniewillis.com. To me, she's one of the great broadcasters in our field.
Thanks.
You can find her on all social media platforms. And when you subscribe to her, subscribe to us as well, if you haven't done that. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we are clear.
That's a good tune. Are you playing that on the radio station and also YouTube? Can you do that, or does it allow you?
I use a program called Radio DJ that allows me to sync my audio.
But it doesn't, like YouTube doesn't say infringement, copyright.
Well, no, because it's from the free YouTube music library.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so that's where I get it. And then our main music is by a musician named Ron Bumblefoot Thal, who used to play. He spent 9 years with Guns N' Roses. He's a friend of ours, and
That's pretty cool.
In 2015, after he left Guns N' Roses, in 2014, he put out his solo album, and he has this song called "Little Brother Is Watching." That's the hey that you hear when I kick back off, and so we use his music, and I have I've got it through YouTube that I'm allowed to use his music without any type of copyright infringement. I mean, I've only gone through about 6 different copyright infringement companies. Like every year and a half, I got to go through this. Every year, I guess I have to go through this. But I finally figured out how to get around it. And that is if you put a voice, like if you take like a 25 second clip, but you put a voice over top of it, or you put any sort of audio over top of it to make it sound different, then you don't get nailed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I paid for my stuff, and I was told by someone that was with YouTube at the time. I heard about it later, but they said at one point, whatever, the bots and the algorithm or whatever just started taking a whole bunch of people down. I think it was during not just the apocalypse that happened at one point on YouTube, but also it was really jumping on all the copyright infringement music stuff. But my stuff was paid for. I paid for it. We're in this business. We understand that. We get it. But they still were just taking people out. And so I got all these copyright infringement stuff. And so I had to appeal. And then they would still fight me back. And it's like, you know what? I paid for this. And so now what I do, because I just started turning my stuff back on YouTube, now it's like they have that feature of just take the music off. It's like, you know what? I paid for it, and I'm just going to take it off because I'm tired of appealing and proving to you. You all should do your homework first to see if my name's on a list before you ever accuse me of it, because it hurts. Absolutely. First of all, I have done it right. I'm not one of these bad people out there. And you know what? Now there's going to be people that don't hear the music, your music, because they're so greedy. They come across so greedy.
Well, that's companies like TuneCore and others that are nailing people for that. And I've even had YouTube reject a letter that I would send on the appeal from the artist saying that I have permission to use his music, and YouTube would reject his letter.
Yeah, I've heard
and
that.
I finally got a hold of somebody at YouTube.
That's rare.
And I said, well, first it was Google, and then I talked to the person at Google, and they're like, this is different. This isn't just a complaint. This is a legit case. Let me get you somebody to YouTube. And I finally got a hold of somebody at YouTube, and it cleared it up. I'm like, how many times do I have to submit the same letter? And please explain to me how you can reject the letter from the artist that I have permission.
Well, there's so many people that fake and lie that this is really the reason. There's so many people that fake it and they lie, and it's just terrible because it ruins it for those of us that know what we're doing, and we do it right because we've been in the business for so long. Because that's what you do. That's what you do. And by the way, when we're on uh, for Walter. And last time before you came on, when I was on like the first 2 hours, I guess before you came on,
Yeah.
we were playing songs. the board op goes, I said, wait a minute, you can play songs, right? He goes, oh, I don't know. And I said, no. Yeah, yeah, I'm sure they bought the music rights. It's WPHT. Come on. So,
Yep.
so we were playing music, dude. It was fun. Some really good stuff. I'm like, here, I played this on Coast last week. Put these on. And he was having a ball too with me.
Nice.
Producer. Yeah. So we'll be doing some of that. You have to pick some
We got
music
25
out.
seconds. I'm going to get you to hold on right there. Thank you to Mike for 2 super chats tonight. Greatly appreciate it. And thank you to all of our new subscribers who've not only subscribed to Connie's channels, but to our channel as well. You know, that's how we collaborate and all grow better for better information. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. You could wear our stuff in public and actually be proud to wear it to more than just a garage sale or mowing your lawn. Here we go, everybody. We're coming back in 5 seconds.
No hacking. No hacking. Hit that cough button, man.
All right, here comes the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott, and we always appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. We're going to get to Connie Willis here momentarily. We have her till the top of the hour, but first, I want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates. And remember, all of our archives are free at youtube.com/spaced out radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in Space Travelers Club. All right, ConnieWillis.com is her website. You know her from Coast to Coast AM and Blue Rock Talk. Connie Willis is here till the top of the hour, and we've been talking monsters all night long. But I want to make a quick shift here for 1 second, Connie. You know, the whole UFO story that's going on, or UAP, I hate that term, UAP.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Why do you hate it? Why do you hate it?
I think it makes a mockery of what we have studied for years.
Yeah, it's like New Age or something. It's like, no, don't do that.
Right? Right? I'm just
no reason to
I'm
hate
curious your thoughts overall. Okay, I don't want to spend a lot of time on UFOs tonight because it's what we usually talk about, but just your thoughts overall from a journalistic perspective of this story, of what's happening in Washington, D.C., of why the mainstream media really hasn't warmed up to this extraordinary event of information that is coming out. What's your thoughts overall on it?
I could say so many things right now, but it would be short and sweet. And I'm actually going up to, what's the name of the town? I'm going to say it wrong. I'm going to I'm going to get the event for you. And then I want to say the event I'm going to be at next month. But I want to say it all correctly. So I need to do that before we end tonight. So I need to find that on YouTube. And it's about the same thing. It's about disclosure. And I'm going to speak at it with other speakers and things like that too. So yes. I'll put that up here. But it's very short and sweet. Okay. And it was David Jacobs, that kind of gave me this perspective. He said, okay, and he and Bud Hopkins both. They said, okay, UFOs, lights in the sky. That's what UFOs are. They're lights in the sky, or, something in the sky. That's it. That's what they are. Now, you can beat your head up against the wall trying to figure out what they are, who's behind them, whatever. You're going to get turned down on what it is. You're going to be made fun of, all that kind of thing. It's lights in the sky, or, basically that's it. and you don't really get real feedback or anything. Maybe what you saw, what you experienced, it's all kind of different. A lot of people only just see a light in the sky. Other people see big mother ships and all this other stuff. But still, you're going to be mocked and all this other kind of thing, blah, blah, blah. I know it's different now that, the government's talking about it, or at least they're taking it to the Congress, all that kind of thing. But Jacobs had said, and I don't know if it was he and Bud both. I just heard it from Jacobs. They said, I kind of want to know what's inside those things. I don't, obviously I see the lights. I know they're real. I don't need anybody telling me that they're real. I don't need the government telling me they're real. I don't need some pilot telling me they're real or the Navy telling me they're real. I've seen them. They've been telling me that they're not real. I've seen them myself. I know they're real. So, but I want to go a little deeper than that. So I want to go, and this is what Jacobs and Hopkins. So how do we go deeper? What are they? Oh, well, let's go inside the ships. How can we do that? There seems to be people that believe they've been abducted. Let's regress them. Let's learn what's inside the ships. So that's where my focus went, is into the abductions and what they are, what they're here for. And then you get into the hybridization project and stuff like that. So you can beat your head up against the wall with the government telling you or not telling you about the lights in the sky, or you can, just take it your own self, do your own research, and get deeper and deeper into it in other avenues. And I don't care what the government says about them. I've seen them. I don't need them to tell me it's there. I'm not one of those. I don't need them to tell me that kind of thing. And they're not going to. And I think they have their own reasons not to. But honestly, disclosure is going to happen when the aliens decide it's going to happen.
So what do you think about all the government jargon going on, all these hearings that have gone on that have told us nothing?
That's right. Nothing, right? Same old thing. So again, it's just a bunch of talk. And again, we'll know it when the aliens are ready to let us know it. As soon as I believe that they can turn us off and on. Okay. So even if somebody came out tomorrow and said it, I believe if it just slipped by the aliens, if it even slipped by, because I think they would just stop them before they did it. Even if they could get it out, the aliens can just stop time, reverse it back, and it would be done. It would have never been heard. They will make that decision, and I do believe they can turn us off and on. I think they can totally, absolutely turn us off and on, and I think they can take our soul out of our body. They can either take our entire body, or they can just take our soul and put it back. There's something bigger.
Final question on this, or final topic on this. What is your thoughts then of the way, as someone who has worked in mainstream media like you have, what is your thoughts on the way the media coverage has been, where for the majority of time they have really, thrown softballs at these questions when the topic has arrived? It's still not a topic that they take very seriously for the most part. What do you say about our fellow media colleagues who roll their eyes when the UFO topic comes up?
I think they are the people that it's horrible. It's horrible that they do it. I hate it. I hate it. I wouldn't be the person doing that, obviously, right? I would, stand up for it. But those other ones, they're hoping to keep their job. They want to do what they're supposed to do. What's important today? They can't think for themselves. They just can't. They need someone above them to tell them. And if they hear that someone else is laughing, then they'll laugh. Oh, ha, 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 ha. And, oh, we got a UFO story tonight, right? That kind of thing. Hate it. Absolutely hate it. Because they have not done their research. They do not know what they're talking about. This stuff is real. And they are clueless. They are clueless. Even Facebook one time, I don't know, not that they're the media in any way, but one time I had answered on the William Shatner page or whatever his thing was. I don't even like to go to these things, but somebody directed me over there, and I said something about the Bigfoot are real. And I got something from Facebook for the first time ever saying, hey, they didn't put me in jail, but they gave me a warning that what I was writing about was a mythological creature and that I didn't know what I was talking about. And it was like, I know exactly what I'm talking about. This is the real deal. You all haven't done your research. And who are they to come out with such a claim without doing their homework? I come out with that claim because I do my homework. I'm out there just like you. It makes me sick to my stomach. And they don't, they still don't listen to us. Hey, man, if you know how to get a hold of Elon, let me know, because Elon he's just not going to the right people. Elon wants to meet an alien, be a part of all this kind of thing. He'll tell you constantly. And he's like, I'm the first one that's going to, because I got my equipment out there. I got my stuff out in space. That's why I'm going to be the first one to see them. And it's like, Elon, wake up. You got some people that can get you there. They're already here, right? I mean, I think you can agree.
Oh, I totally agree. And hey, I agree that there's things on Mars. I agree that there's things on the moon right now. I mean, you think about it. If it was any other topic, Connie, when Robert Bigelow in 2017, 2018 went on 60 Minutes to say they're already here, you don't have to go out into space.
Nope.
Because they're already here. If this was any other topic, that interview would have made headline news around the world. If he was talking about, say, cancer research or the economy or anything else, but because it was UFOs, even 60 Minutes edited that way too much. Any other story would have got a follow-up the week after.
Yeah.
But because it was UFOs, nothing happened.
And I think there's not just the people behind it. I think it is the aliens themselves behind it, because they're just not ready. I don't think they're going, oh, the humans aren't ready for it yet. They don't care. They know when you get it, you'll just have to deal with it. But
Right.
So I hate when people say, we're just not ready for it yet. Are you kidding? You're not ready for the truth? You're not ready to, maybe some of you, maybe those are the people that aren't ready for it. But there's a whole bunch of us are like, tell us, what is it? Everybody should know the truth, but it is up to the aliens to do that. Our own people have no clue. Those of us that are that understand this stuff and are a part of it, we're ready for it, because we're like, come on, man. We know it's more than what everybody else thinks. We cannot go back into the human experience. We've already passed it. It's hard to get back into 9 to 5 and taking lunch out to the beach and the dog and everybody's making sandcastles and things like that. It's once you get into this world, it's like you can't go back. And when you are there, hopefully you have somebody in your life that will go with you, because usually people end up breaking up, divorces and things like that happen, right? Because you're into it so much, you're like, and it's not this obsession, it's more of, oh my gosh, everything I've been told is not real. Who are we? What are we, right? And so it's up to the aliens. But I know that sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy, but I absolutely believe it's true. It's their choice. And right now, what's going on, all this politics, all this political stuff, and that's just in the States. This is just an American talking, somebody from the States. This is what happens here. There's just a whole bunch of political stuff and all this other stuff going on, and it just keeps our minds busy, and we don't think about what else is the bigger picture. But I'm going to tell you at one point, and well, I'll ask that in a second, but I'm going to tell you at one point, our stuff is going to be the topic, and I think it's coming soon.
I hope so.
Yeah. So we debate. We're not debate, but we're over here full of all this political stuff happening all the time to keep our minds filled. What about you guys? What do you do in Canada?
Well, in Canada, we have this dichotomy, if I could use that word, because I never get to use that word on the air, where if we don't talk about it, it doesn't exist. And those of us who are talking about it, Connie, I could tell you, I've done about 9 or 10 radio interviews across Canada in the last couple of years talking about this subject. And not once has a radio station asked me if Canada has this happening here. They're all wanting to talk about what's happening in the US. And I've
Well, yeah.
tried to guide the conversation that this is happening in Canadian airspace, that Dear Leader has been read in
Absolutely.
on this 3 times and at minimum, and that it is a conversation that's happening between MPs behind closed doors, or members of parliament, what you call them senators or congress people. We call them members of parliament. Okay. And we are literally
Thanks for explaining that, by the way, because you have to. I understand.
yeah. So, but they are not, the media will not touch this topic. There's only 2 stations out there that will touch this topic. CTV News on television is doing a great job because they have a reporter named Daniel Otis who is on this subject. And our home broadcast out of Mississauga, Ontario, which is a suburb of Toronto, Saga 960 AM, is very pumped on it. They have me on there. They have Richard Searett from Coast to Coast as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so
Richard.
Yeah, Richard's got beautiful hair. He's got nice hair.
He's a handsome guy. He's a handsome guy.
Yes. Yeah, he's just got everything radio. The great
cool.
hair, that golden voice.
He's got a whispery voice.
Yeah.
It's like whispers.
Scratchy. So scratchy.
He's a really
Art
nice
Bell,
guy.
When Art Bell was into his second pack of cigarettes through a Coast to Coast, right? That's his voice. But but it's not a topic that is going hard. It is being discussed quietly, but it hasn't gone hard yet. Like,
so you mean in your own country? You don't mean like Americans aren't talking about it, or
No,
are you?
Canadians.
The Canadians aren't, huh?
No. We're trying.
Canadians are kind of tough. I mean, this is what the first thing I ever heard about Canadians was this. First of all, to me, y'all look just like us. We all act the same. To me, I didn't even think it was anything different. It wasn't, I didn't even realize how, here's a country and there's a country and we're different. And this is a citizen here and a citizen there or whatever. I just don't think that way, right? I don't think about that kind of thing. But when I was at Home Shopping Network, I'd go up to Toronto and work at the shopping channel up there. And I remember a guy there saying, okay, it was my first time up there and we're in the green room and it's a Canadian dude. And he goes, all right, so here's the difference between your audience up here. I'm like, okay, I'll listen, tell me, give me, I'm trying to sell a whole bunch of stuff over here because I only get commission, right? So I got to sell. And he goes, you Americans will spend $20 like it's nothing. And you want to be the first to buy something. You're like, there's my $20. Give it to me. Let me give it a shot. We Canadians, we don't want to spend $20. We want to hold on to that $20. And we want to wait till somebody else buys it. They use it for a while, maybe a few weeks, a few months, maybe even part of a year, maybe even a year before we decide we're going to buy it. I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to make much commission here.
Oh yeah, that
is that right?
So true. That is so true. Like it I call it, that almost like the Nickelback effect. Everybody in Canada hates Nickelback. Nobody can tell you why they hate Nickelback.
What's Nickelback?
It's a rock band.
Oh, okay.
But everybody seems to hate them. And actually, there's a documentary out why they are the most hated band in the world, and nobody really knows why. But the funny part about it is Canadians hate everybody. They don't support anything until you make it elsewhere. It's the weirdest thing. They don't. A prime example of that is if you remember SCTV.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was great. Wasn't that John Candy?
John Candy, Eugene Levy, Catherine O'Hara, and a few others. Okay. They couldn't get a television gig at all in Canada until they went to Second City in Chicago as a group.
Oh.
And they built SCTV there. And then all of a sudden, look at these great Canadian comedians and the flow of comedians that came out of it because of SCTV. But we don't support anything until it's made big elsewhere.
Man, I tell you. Well, all I know is my food stylist, because I was doing cooking at the time and culinary stuff, selling that on the Shopping Channel and Home Shopping Network and QVC at the time. And my food stylist, she was Canadian, and she would always go, "You Americans, you Americans." And I'm still new to this because I don't see any difference or notice any difference. You're just in Canada where it's cold. You say a boot, and that's really about it. That's about all I know. And I literally had to ask her. I said, "Do I say you Canadians?" Because I didn't know what it meant, And she, she only knew us. She said that she, learned about us through CNN.
Right.
And I told her, I said, "Did y'all get Fox? Because there's a whole nother side." I had to ask her, and she was like, "What?" I'm like, "Nothing."
Well, my pet peeve. Here's my pet peeve is that you would never hear a Canadian say, okay, like we say Los Angeles, California, or Seattle, Washington, or Chicago, Illinois, or New York, New York. Yet you never hear an American say Vancouver, British Columbia. It's Vancouver, Canada, Toronto, Canada, Montreal, Canada.
Yeah.
It's like I've started training my audience that every time somebody says like Toronto, Canada, that I say, St. Louis, America.
Well, what should it be?
Just you should know the provinces by
Just
now.
should be Toronto.
Couple hundred years.
You mean just say Toronto and not Toronto, Canada?
Exactly.
Well,
like I don't sit there and say Chicago, Illinois.
But
you know where it is.
But here's the deal. Like in the state of Kentucky or the state of Tennessee or the state of the states all have a ton of towns and cities, and there's a repeat of, like, there's a Lexington, Kentucky, and I think there's a Lexington, Ohio, and there's a Lexington, Minnesota. And so,
I get that.
So, but if you say Toronto, there are some cities. I know there's a Toronto in the States. I know there's little towns. I'm pretty sure, but maybe not. But it's just to go Canada. Okay, Canada.
The pet peeve is after 200 years plus of being your neighbor, you should know our provinces by now.
No, man. You know what? And this is what I think is totally the truth, because we're just here. All we know, we're taught here, we're listened here, it's just, I don't know. This is just me. Okay. I know there's other people. They grow up to a certain point and they're like, okay, I'm going to go over to Europe and I'm going to backpack and I'm going to walk around, or I'm going to go skiing in Whistler, right? Some people are into the travel and they know all that kind of stuff, but a lot of us, we're just happy here. It's,
I get it.
This is all we know, and we don't think outside of here. It's just the way it is, and not in a bad way. Because maybe I'm one of those people. And when I've gone out and traveled, and it was only because of television work for the most part, it's like, this is great. It's fun and all. But there's so many things still here to see in the States that we haven't seen. Yeah, it's amazing.
I love the U.S.
Yeah, it's cool. And it's good to hear that because, you're Canadian,
you know what? I will say this.
All my Canadian friends are great.
I cannot wait until my dream. I don't dream of going to Europe or Asia or wherever. You know what I want? I want a motor home. I want a motor home with a trailer on the back that hauls my Jeep. And I just want to travel across Canada, the United States, and see all of these amazing, amazing sites that we have around here.
It's unreal.
And if I make it to another country, great. I'm just going to do the tourist thing. But I just want to drive the highways and just enjoy, what we have created here. That's the beauty of it.
I agree. I think it's just amazing. There's so many things. I actually went to an area from, let's see, where did we go from? I think we went, it was in Utah, and I had never seen or even heard that these rock formations even existed. And either did the people with me. We just were looking at, did you even know this happened? It looked like biblical times, and it looked like something God just whipped up out of the Old Testament or something. It was, and I don't even know what that means, but that's what it was. Just amazing, the sculpted rock formations that were absolutely huge that I've never seen a picture of or ever heard of in my life. And it was for miles and miles. Had no idea it was even here.
Wow.
I can't even describe what they are, but they're amazing. Everybody's got that geological thing of, well, this is the waters did this and they created that. And I'm looking at them like freaking ETs lived in those. I'm thinking a whole other way.
Connie Willis from Coast to Coast AM. We say goodnight to her. Hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio is coming up right after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
What a wonderful show. Thank you.
That was fun. So I'll be on Coast Sunday night.
Good.
Tuesday night and Wednesday night.
We'll see you Tuesday. We hit me up. I'll send you my phone number.
Before you go.
Hit me up on Sunday so that way we could maybe have a quick chat about what we want to talk about Tuesday, Wednesday.
Just remind me what day. You got to keep up with me. I'm like,
I'll send you a message.
Like right now, I'm going to bed. You're the one that's got to stay up, not me.
Oh yeah. Oh,
it's
you
midnight
go to bed,
here.
I'll take care of the message. Much love to you, my friend.
Have
And
fun.
I'll get Tim in my chat room to place all of your links in there so
cool,
my
thanks.
listeners can make sure they hit subscribe on your channels. Okay.
And yeah, I hope they'll follow and be a part of it. That's what it's all about, right? So cool. Thank you so much. It was fun. And later, dude.
See you, buddy.
Blue Rocker.
Rock on.
That's
Take
like
care.
rock. I love you. That's devil, isn't it? Is that yours? Is the
That's
devil?
I love you.
No, is it?
Oh yeah, get your horns up.
Well, this
That's
is Hey man, there you go.
Take care, Connie.
Bye.
Bye. I love her. She is amazing. She is just amazing. Connie Willis, everybody. We'll be right back. camera check. Yes, sir. Get a bucket check. Hey guys, welcome back. We're coming back in 30 seconds. Big thank you to Connie for coming on the show. And thank you to Mike for a pair of super chats. Mike Bothwell, thank you very much. As well as Bigfoot Michigan Rob. Appreciate that. Don't forget you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out. We'd greatly appreciate that, especially since we worked our butt off to get some new swag up there for you. What a lovely audience. Thank you to all our new subscribers as well. Here we go, everyone. All right, here comes the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. And Clam says Abadicarian. Abadicarian is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. All right, let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp.
This is in the middle of nowhere, eastern Montana. This happened about 6 p.m. We were playing hide and seek with all my best friends and their siblings. We hear this loud screaming coming from the woods. So as smart people would do, we start hiking to find out what was making the noise. On our way up, we noticed that there were these two deer that were standing completely still, staring at us. They were scarily still. We even make a bunch of noise to try to get their attention and try to scare them away, but they don't budge. They keep looking directly up the mountain. We do not really think much of it. We keep going, and whatever it is still screaming absolutely bloody murder. My friend's older sister is calling back. Then, suddenly, it just stops. We keep going for a bit, and we eventually find mountain lion tracks. We all sit down, and we all have this feeling that something is watching us. So we close our eyes, and I told everyone to point to where the feeling is coming from. We all point to the same exact spot, above us. My friend and I stay at that spot while her two other siblings go up a little further. They come back down to us and they say they saw the mountain lion. We decided it would probably be a smart idea to go back to the property. We begin to hike down, and the deer are still there. We figure it's because they knew the mountain lion was there. The next day we come back to where we were after being out for the entire day. My friend, her older sister, and I are all very tired. It was about 10 p.m.-ish. The older sister goes outside to pee outside of the trailer. This was in June, so it was still bright. She sprints back inside the trailer and tells my friend and me that there is something out there that ran toward her. We believe that she was making jokes. At around 11 p.m., my friend goes to sleep. I stayed up because I was not very tired. Sometime around 1 a.m., she wakes up to go to the bathroom. She goes outside the trailer and dead sprints back inside and tells me there is 100% something out there, and that whatever it was fast and big and ran toward her. The older sister wakes up my friend, telling me all of this information, and comes to the back of the trailer where we are. There are 4 motion sensor lights on the corner of our trailer, pointed at us, and this is important. We all were scared crapless in the trailer, and I'm lying on my side looking at the window. My friend is there looking out the opposite window. The curtains are closed, but I notice a lighting change. I tell the others what I saw because I don't believe they were paying fully attention. And about 10 seconds later, my friend says the light on my side went off. So now we know something is 100% out there, walking around our trailer, and we are terrified. My friend is wild and decides to go back to sleep for whatever reason. So, her older sister and I work up enough courage to move out to the front of the trailer. It is now probably 2 a.m. if I had to guess. We notice that the lights out front are also getting triggered. We are clueless about what we are supposed to do, so we lock the doors. We didn't find out till the morning that the locks don't work. We grab the biggest knives we can. We sit on the bed that is in the main room. There is a window not even an inch above the bed, so keep this in mind. Whatever was out there kept circling around until it stopped by the window and started tapping on the trailer and hitting it hard enough to shake the trailer. The older sister and I are almost in tears from fear at this point. It is easily around 3 a.m. at this point, and we hear my friend's grandfather coughing outside. The older sister is overly concerned for him, but I force her to stay inside because whatever is out there is not friendly. The coughing stops eventually. Next, we hear a very faint screaming from the woods, as whatever it is outside our trailer was still tapping and rubbing against it. So we knew it was not the mountain lion. Or is it? We eventually fall asleep at around 4:30 a.m., and a couple of hours later we investigate around the trailer and find deep imprints around our trailer that are way too big to be any animal that is out there. The same friend goes there quite often, and the last time they did, I did not tag along for obvious reasons. But something jumped on top of the trailer and was pacing back and forth and would run back and forth every so often, also sometimes stopping right over where they were laying.
And thank you to Swamp Dweller for a great story that we absolutely love. And if you want more, head on over to his YouTube channel, Swamp Dweller, and you will literally get thousands of stories just like that. All right, from the swamp to the UFOs, Tim James is here for the UFO report. Here we go.
That is an interplanetary flying space saucer. You have made me very angry. Very angry indeed.
All right, Tim James, good to have you back on Spaced Out Radio. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing good. And you?
I'm doing great, man.
Excellent.
Life is good. Connie was an incredible interview.
You took the words right out of my mouth. She was awesome. I had a smile on my face the whole time. She was brilliant. I really enjoyed it.
You know what I love about a professional broadcaster is their voice.
Mm-hmm.
And she just has one of those voices that could make you melt. I would love to hear her actually narrate a bunch of Swamp Dweller stories.
Yeah.
That would be incredible. Connie, there's your new hook on YouTube. is spooky, creepypasta type stories.
Yeah.
Oh, I could listen to her voice for hours. We get to do that on Coast to Coast AM on Sunday when she is on. So make sure you do that. And once again, Connie Willis and I will be hosting on WPHT 1210 AM in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on Tuesday and Wednesday. We will be co-hosting together, filling in for Walter M. Sterling on Sterling Every Damn Night. Because we're not allowed to say, even in the email, it says we're not allowed to say Sterling every darn night.
Oh, okay.
It's got to be every damn night. So, yeah, I look forward to that. Working with Connie here coming up next week. But, yeah, what a great, great night of radio, that's for sure. UFO world, there is some big news that kind of came out, and that is in regards to this article from thehill.com,
yes,
which is a political website that is very much about really trying to bring news not only of UFOs, but many other subjects that are brought together in the United States Capitol. But you were following this UFO story that came out earlier today. What happened there?
Well, if everybody remembers, and guess probably a couple of weeks ago, get that camera straight. A couple of weeks ago, we had I gave a report, and I hate pronouncing his last name because I don't want to do it incorrectly, but Merrick von Renkamp. Did that interview with Sean Kirkpatrick. So I guess now what he's done is he put out an article, and it's all over the place. And it was about what his take on everything is now. He's kind of reflected back on this interview, and yeah, it's not very favorable, you know. So basically what I did is I just had a look at it. He starts off, we know about the Schumer rounds, reintroducing the UAP Disclosure Act.
Right.
So what he did is he delved a little deeper, and what he does is he comes up with a bunch of stuff in here that it really doesn't look good on Arrow. It really doesn't. He's got people coming out and saying that, you know, Kirkpatrick is, you know, hypocritical. He doesn't, you know, he's fibbing. I hate saying lying, but you know, he's fibbing. So basically the breakdown is that, he says in a lengthy error-laden report released in March, for example, the office stated that it found no empirical evidence that the U.S. government and private companies have been reverse engineering extraterrestrial technology. So kind of a bit of a double take. And I mean, because it rebukes Arrow, and notably Senator Kristen Gillibrand, Democrat out of New York, who led the charge to establish the office, is a co-sponsor of the legislation. Moreover, the Senate Intelligence Committee appears set to require the Government Accountability Office, Congress's investigative watchdog, to conduct a review of Arrow. In other words, key members of Congress, including the senator who established it, appear to have little to no confidence in the Pentagon's UFO office. So,
yeah. You know, I read that article as well.
Mhm.
And one of the things, Tim, that kind of caught my attention to it was I realized this was an op-ed piece by Merrick.
Mhm.
It was an op-ed piece, their opinion. But there was a lot I agreed with it.
Yeah.
Okay. And well, I'm going to tell you right now, I agreed with about 99.5% of it.
Yeah.
Okay. But the thing is about it is I think this writer expressed exactly what a lot of us were thinking, that we're being ripped off regarding this subject.
Agreed.
We're trying to get information out. We can't get information out because of the fact that they are holding back. And a lot of people have circled it around to what the Condon report came out a number of decades ago.
Right.
Basically, this is where swamp gas came from. This is where, you know, people were seeing Venus, not stars moving or satellites moving.
Yeah.
You know, like really treating people with stupidity.
Oh, for sure.
And pilots especially with stupidity. You know, like I'm pretty sure that if you're an airline pilot, you can tell the difference between an anomalous craft and Venus.
Mhm.
Even when Venus is at its brightest and closest to our planet.
Yeah.
You can tell. It's pretty simple. Okay. The untrained eye can see that. Or Jupiter. Jupiter gets pretty bright.
Yeah.
Okay. And yes, guess what? The stars do move. We could figure that out.
Yeah.
Okay. They move because this planet is moving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So I guess the point that I'm getting at with all of this is, and I love this about the writer, stop treating us like fools. We're not stupid. We are not dumb. You know, let's get to the point. We know you have things. We know you're hiding things.
Yeah.
Stop treating us like we're idiots. You know, and I wish they would attack NASA with as much fervor as they are with Arrow, because NASA deserves it, the butt chewing just as much as Arrow does, if not more, because they have been making a mockery of this UFO subject for a long time as well. Okay. The SETI organization, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. Well, they haven't found anything.
No.
Well, of course you haven't, because you're not reporting it. Or Bill Nelson coming out when he took over NASA a couple of years ago, coming out saying, we're going to find them damn UAPs. You know, we've got all of these fighter pilots who are seeing things. We're going to have to look into that. Gee, Bill, it's already on record that your fellow astronauts that you served with and you went up into space with, and others, and test pilots and rocket test pilots and everything, have had encounters. You know about this. They're in your records.
Yeah.
What about Donna Hare, who came out a number of years ago saying that NASA was scrubbing photos of UFOs? What about your astronaut, Bill Cooper, for instance, or, many others who have seen things?
Yeah.
What about the astronauts on the International Space Station, the Russian astronaut a few years ago who filmed a boomerang outside of the window, flying near the space station? What happens when a UFO comes near the International Space Station? All of a sudden, oops, the camera goes off. They deserve it just as hard as Arrow. This isn't just about Arrow.
No.
This is a bigger story. It's easy to pick on Arrow because Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick failed the program. He failed the program in the public by treating it like it was a useless, deadbeat assignment that he was much better than.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that's being called out, but we got to go one step further because once you start calling them all out, now we have a case.
Sure.
May start with Arrow. What about NASA?
Right.
What about the NSA? What about the FAA, the Federal Aviation Association?
Yeah.
What do they know? Okay. And why a number of years ago were they sitting there saying, hey, if you see something anomalous, report this to BASS, which was Bigelow Advanced Aerospace Space System, Robert Bigelow's company. Why were they reporting it there?
Do you know?
A private company for UFOs. It doesn't make sense.
Well, it doesn't exist.
So what was your thoughts, though, when they were talking about the fact that the Senate Intelligence Committee is looking to require government accountability office on this? Because there doesn't seem to be a lot of accountability with Arrow publicly regarding this subject. What were your thoughts?
My thought, it sounds like there's fires being lit in more than one place now. The way that I see it and the way that my take on it was, I'm seeing different people getting to the point in official positions. I'm assuming they're getting tired as well. They're getting tired, like we all are, of, okay, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? You can only, as far as I'm concerned, you can only see and have something happen a gazillion times before other groups of people finally just go, what's happening? So there has to be some accountability. And I mean, and I'm not here to slam Kirkpatrick, but you think about the gimbal, right? When they were filming the gimbal, or when they filmed the gimbals, he insulted those Navy pilots, right? He insulted them by saying, yeah, no, it's just a balloon. And the way the sun was coming off it. But if you have a look back, they were done at night and they were going 120 miles or 120 knots the other way west. Like, he just insults. It almost seems like he wasn't doing his job. So my brain is, I think other people are seeing that. I think you've got other people in government going, yeah, okay, this is enough.
Radar officer Kevin Day, who's going to be a guest on this show in a couple of weeks. Okay, he was the radar operator on the USS Princeton during the time of the Nimitz incident with the Tic Tacs and other. And that information where he saw and recorded a Tic Tac type craft go from about 80,000 feet and hit the brakes at exactly 10 feet above sea level in, what was it, 0.78 of a second. Okay, think about how fast that is. 80,000 feet to 10 feet above sea level and hit the brakes. Like it just stopped at a stop sign.
Right.
In 0.78 seconds. It takes a car, an average car, not a Ferrari or a Porsche or anything like that. It takes the average car about 3.4 seconds to get up to 62 miles an hour. Or 100 kilometers an hour. 0.78 seconds from 80,000 feet.
So that's almost triple the height of an aircraft flight,
Yes.
right? So you're usually what, 30, 35,000?
There are very few craft
Mm-hmm.
on this planet, the SR-71, the U-2,
Right.
the MiG-25 Foxbat,
Mhm.
okay, that can fly at that level.
Right.
Because of the oxygen levels, because of the heat on the aircraft, the cold outside in space.
Yeah.
Okay, because the atmosphere is much different up there.
Sure.
Okay, that's why the pilots of these craft have to wear spacesuits,
Mhm.
specialized spacesuits for it. Okay, I mean, there's a lot going on at that height. And to drop from, I mean, that would kill a human dropping from 80,000 feet to 10 feet in 0.78 seconds. That would rip a human apart.
No question.
It would rip a human apart.
Yeah.
Okay. You would be disintegrated. All right. You wouldn't even know.
No. Oh, no.
You wouldn't even know.
No.
So I find that quite interesting that is going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
And the fact that they were able to really track that and give that shot. We only got about 2.5 minutes here. Track that and put that out. I like that piece. I wish he would go further. Remember I said
Right.
I like 99.5% of the article.
Yep.
That 0.5% is I wish he would go further in the writing, because NASA should be next.
Right.
If I'm writing for the Hill and I have the power of the website of the Hill, okay, NASA should be next on that list. Call them out.
Yeah.
Bill Nelson has made a mockery of the UFO field.
Mhm.
Okay. Their $100,000 study that they did that found nothing, garbage. They never went through the obviously the shelves of the closets and the filing cabinets of NASA. Otherwise they would have found it. I mean, let's just face it. That was incredible. They need to be next. And the more we call that out, and the more figures that have viewership and readership go into those articles and read about this, the more the public is going to be better off, because that's the job, is for that public reaction. It's not on Medium. It's not on Reddit or anything like that. This is on a real news publication that is dealing with the laws of Washington, D.C. and the happenings of Washington, D.C. each and every day.
Yep.
You know, so I find that pretty incredible, that I'm going to say well-deserved.
Yeah.
Your thoughts as we close this out?
I do too. I think that it was well deserved, and the common consensus is, and from the article is, yes, that they didn't do the job they're supposed to do. They just didn't do the job they were supposed to do. There's still too many questions, and the answers are just generic.
Do you think at this point, with 30 seconds to go, we might have to carry this over?
Yeah.
Do you think that this may be leading, because of the frustration that they seem to have with the Arrow program, the senators and the Congress people, do you think that this may lead to a collapse of Arrow and maybe a restart of a new program, or the demands for a new program?
If it was me, yeah, I would think yes. I would definitely say it's time to sweep the floor and start again.
Yeah, we've only seen that about 6 times in the
I
last
know.
couple of years. When we return, the UFO report. Tim James is in studio for the report tonight. We're having a great time. Hope you are too. This is Spaced Out Radio. We'll be right back.
This is Spaced Out Radio, and your host, Dave Scott.
I love that guitar solo. Love it. Like Simon's comment, Arrow is doing great from their perspective. Nothing to see here, folks. Love that.
I know. It's a good article. I agree with you. I'd like it. And the name of it, if anybody hasn't had a look at it yet, it's called "Why is the Pentagon's UFO Office So Clueless About UFOs?" And it's on, what is it, The Hill.
Yeah.
So you'll find it. It's on X, Twitter, and stuff. It's a good article. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Oh, man. Good times.
Yeah.
Good times. Dave would love to go to the flying saucer party in Chehalis.
Chehalis is awesome.
Yeah.
I like it down there.
Good old Chehalis, Washington.
And Chehalis is Sasquatch country, too.
It is.
Mm.
Let me go in. One second here. Let's see here. How far is it from here? 7 hours and 32 minutes.
We could get there by morning.
We could get there by morning. If I could ever get a Saturday off, I had to bet. Oh, the company that now owns where I work.
Mm-hmm.
So there was an incident this past weekend
Uh-oh.
at another one of their venues
Okay.
where their finance team didn't show up. They both booked the long weekend off.
Oh.
So now, under new company HR policy, in order for me to get a day off now, I have to request it through my manager, who then is going to give me a form to fill out that I have to send to HR and ownership to request a day off.
Wow.
Yeah. And they have to sign off on it and give me permission before I can do that, before I can have a day off.
So what I'm seeing is a lot of family days in your future.
So previous ownership, when my friend owned the business,
Mm-hmm.
it was like, hey boss, I got a Bigfoot conference coming up in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I need that Saturday off. Okay.
Yeah.
Have fun. Now, if I was taking vacation, he'd make me fill out a vacation request form for legalities.
Yeah.
But
no, that's understandable. But
oh yeah. But now I have to go through a chain of command to take one freaking day off. Right? Oh, that isn't capitalism, Jeremy. That's called socialism right there. Control. Socialist control.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they're beauties. They're beauties. Oh yeah. I don't think I've been pissed. I laughed at that. I'm like, I'm not doing that.
No.
I'm 17 years into that business.
Yeah.
I am not doing that. What are you going to do? Fire me?
Mm-hmm. No.
Right? That would suck because I need the paycheck.
Yeah, of course.
Right? But
yeah. Well,
7 hours, 32 minutes to Chehalis, Washington. Audra Lynn, I would love to speak there next year. I would love to. If you're involved with that event, I would love to speak there next year. I'm publicly building my case that I would give you a good speech. I promise you. Hey, Major Lee, how are you? Yeah. And then they send out company-wide emails, and then you have to respond. Not emails. Yeah, emails.
Mm-hmm.
You have to respond, and if you don't respond, then they call your manager, your managing partner, and they're like, "This person didn't respond."
Yeah.
So you have to type an email. Understood.
Yeah. I had that big company that I worked for years ago.
Oh yeah, drives me nuts.
Yeah. You haven't responded.
Yeah. Well, let's see here. Thank you tonight to the amazing Kira. Mike Bothwell with a hat trick of super chats. And Bigfoot Rob, thank you for the love, guys. Really appreciate it. We do have a bunch of new subscribers here tuning us in. Thank you to Connie's crew, the Blue Rockers, for coming on in, hitting subscribe as well. And we really do appreciate it. Don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out and go from there. We're coming back in like 17 seconds. 17. Well, it's more like 12 now. Well, it's more like 10.
Yeah, I agree. Wiping stuff up.
is. It's time to go and broadcast and play radio tonight like I am. My name is Dave Scott. I'm the host of Spaced Out Radio here, your nightly weirdo that puts you to bed at night. And this is my show, and I hope you're enjoying every moment of it. Want to remind all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/spaced out radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. We're on every major podcast network as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora, my favorite word ever, plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, and check out our amazing swag, because we do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Tim James is here, UFO report. You know, we were talking right before the break about Arrow. You know, I'm wondering if this is the beginning of the end for Arrow, because there seems to be a lot of different issues with this. But it wouldn't surprise me the way, like, we've gone through AIMSOG, we've gone through UAPTF, we've gone through OSAP, we've gone through ATIP. There's been so many different programs over the years that have changed names. An acronym doesn't make the change different, Tim.
No.
You need people who actually understand this subject to bring it out, who can bring it out, not those who are going to be defiled, if I could use that word, defiled by alphabet agencies saying what you can and cannot say or do or bring out.
All right.
If you want transparency, that's what you need to do. Your thoughts?
I agree with you. I think that the interview that Kirkpatrick was in, we talked about a couple of weeks ago or whatever. What I found, what bothered me, and it still bugs me, is the word "we looked everywhere that we could." Now, that's what the twist. It's verbal judo, right? What bothers me about that is you looked everywhere you could. So basically, you looked everywhere you were allowed to look. I think that needs to stop. I think that the doors need to be open. It just, if you're going to have a body or a committee or an entity, whatever you want to call it, investigate something, well, then give them the avenues to investigate it, right? Open the doors. It is what it is. You've got to be able, and you've got to have the people that are tenacious enough to say to the gatekeepers, look, we need to get this over with. We need to get in there. My thought is you're right. It needs to be cleaned. Doesn't matter what acronym you use for it. It needs to be cleaned out, but you also do need tenacious people that are there, like-minded people that want to get in there and figure it out.
Nice use of the word tenacious there.
Right?
That was very nice. You know, if you drop a truculence in the next sentence, I'm going to be happy with that.
I don't know what it means.
Like aggressiveness.
Okay.
But you're right, though. I mean, Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick could have done so much more. What we don't know was, did he do that on purpose?
Right.
Or did he do that because that was his orders? That's the big thing right there that we need to remember. Was this his orders to kind of tank this office? Or was he one of those guys who says, you know what? I'm close to retirement. I'm 18 months out. And do I really want to get my time invested in this fully? Or am I just, or what did I do to deserve this type of assignment before retirement? Are they burying me? I think there was a lot more going on than what we know. And I'm playing devil's advocate here. It may not be about UFOs. It may be about the fact that maybe there were people within the alphabet agencies and the Department of Defense and everybody like that who didn't like him and decided to bury him in that field.
Yeah.
Something that he didn't want to do.
Yeah.
And let's face it, if you don't have a passion for it, you don't do well with it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that playing the devil's advocate, I agree. I think flipping it around, were they tanking him? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. It's a good thought or a possibility. But the other thing I was wondering is that when he was doing this, did he care or did he not care? Obviously, but they may have formed this, or they may have put it together and given him benefit of the doubt. These are the places that you are allowed to look. These are the places that are open to you. Go for it. So did he report everything that he saw, like legitimately? I mean, I don't understand how, when he saw the videos for gimbal and all that sort of stuff, I don't quite understand that. But flipping the coin around, and like you said, being the devil's advocate, was he handcuffed? Was he handcuffed? Was he,
And you see, I think that's a question, A, that somebody needs to ask him, or B, he needs to just come out with. But he hasn't.
No.
Okay, maybe due to contracting and other positions, because let's face it, you retire from the government, after so long you get the pension.
Right.
Once you get the pension locked in, then you go triple your salary as a consultant now.
Right.
So if you're making, say, $150,000 a year, doing the same job that you can now consult for $300,000 to $500,000 a year, you take that job, and that's what you do. And in the meantime, you get your $3,000-4,000 a month government pension, and you ride off into the sunset. Because your pension pays your bills.
Yep.
And the rest of the money you make over the next few years, that just goes into your retirement fund, whatever you want to do.
For sure.
And that's what I'm wondering. And I think it's logical to think that.
Oh, yeah.
But he deserves to be called out no matter what. Either way, he deserves to be called out. What else do you got for us?
Well, I was going through some other stuff, and I found a website that I was checking out, and they're neat stories about this date in history, UFO stuff. I found one.
What's the website?
It is called, I've got it on my other thing. I can't remember.
We'll get that for the audience.
I'll bring it up. But the name of this one, it's the Buff Ledger abduction. Now, quite, I guess, not famous, but 1968, August of 1968. And so this week, 56 years ago, whatever it was. So it was super cool. I wanted to read it, and it brought me to a question at the end of the story. So if everybody would be patient with me, I wouldn't mind reading it out.
Yeah, do that.
Okay. So only 7 years ago, after the Betty and Barney Hill abduction, the New England states would again host an alien abduction. Buff Ledge Camp in Vermont would be the site of a visitation by 4 UFOs, which would appear, make revolutionary aerial maneuvers, and alter the lives of at least 2 young people. So this camp was a girls' camp, and it was located north of Burlington on Lake Champlain. During the tenure at the summer camp, these 2 people, Michael Lapp, he was a 16-year-old maintenance man, and a 19-year-old water ski instructor, Janet Cornell, were relaxing, sitting on a boat dock. So on that afternoon, the swim team had made a trip, blah, blah, blah. They'd taken off and gone to wherever, to a meet. So the camp was deserted. So late in the afternoon, the 2 were sitting there enjoying the sun, relaxing on the dock, and watching the sunset. So after a while, there was a bright light that appeared in the sky. So at first, Mike thought it was just being treated to beautiful close-up of view of the planet Venus and all that sort of good stuff. So all of a sudden, the glowing light began to move downward and even closer to Michael and Janet. The object, at first a round glow, now began to flatten out as it came even closer. Michael shouted, "Wow, Venus is falling." As the 2 steadfastly watched, the light, 3 smaller lights seemed to drop from the larger one, which quickly moved up and disappeared from sight. The 3 smaller objects began to move over the lake. They were obviously under intelligent control. The objects put on a show for Michael and Janet, doing zigzag maneuvers, loops, and then descending like falling leaves. The 3 objects now moved even closer to the 2, baffling the teenagers. After forming a triangle, 2 of the objects pulled back. Michael would later recall the sound like 1,000 tuning forks when the 2 left. Weird. Yeah, right? So they were abducted. and they were taken up, trying to make the story a little bit shorter, they were taken up and abducted. So the next thing they remember is they were laying back on the dock, and they both looked at each other and they were like, we're not going to talk about this to anybody, right? They didn't want to say anything, and they think they were nuts, what happened, whatever. So they didn't. So when they waited for years to bring this up. So they went through, and I'm just looking here. So their next conscious thoughts would be of staring at the object again from the dock. The sky was totally black, right? So they heard the welcome sounds of the swim team coming back, which brought them out of their kind of fog. So years later, it was like 10 years later, after the experience, Michael made the decision to contact the Center for UFO Studies and search for answers. Investigator Walter Webb was assigned to the case, and after hearing Michael's story, suggested regressive hypnosis to help him rid himself of the emotional strife and frightening dreams. So during that session, Michael recounted everything, vividly recounted his experiences, remembering how the beam of light lifted him into the craft's interior, how he entered the bigger craft, and how he saw Janet lying on the table being examined. So the small beings did their thing, shined their lights, scraped their skin, and took fluids from their body. But the aliens all looked alike, he recalled: large eyes, a mouth with no lips, no ears, and 2 small openings for a nose. He also described them having 3 pointed web-like digits for fingers, and their bodies felt damp and clammy. The aliens related to Michael that their mission was to make life like ours in other places. So when they brought Michelle in and did the same hypnosis and brought her all through, her story was almost identical to his. So it was documented, and the psychiatrists and the psychologists and the people that went through it with him said, this is serious. We need to, let people know and let the proper authorities know what's going on. They told the proper authorities, and the authorities said, you guys are all in on it together. It's a hoax. And that's where it ended.
Oh, nice.
Right? So has it changed? My question was, has it changed? How much has it changed from like 1968? Right? We all listen to ourselves and to our friends and right? But it just got dismissed. They kept it a secret for 10 years, and then it got dismissed. Right? You guys, it's all a hoax.
That happens a lot, though. Because I've talked to a lot of Royal Canadian Mounted Police members about this. They don't like these subjects. They don't like covering them. And I've talked to some of the police officers in town who will literally say, hey, I've been called out to the hauntings and buildings. There's nothing there. I don't like doing those cases because even though they wear a badge, carry a gun, they are still human.
Sure.
And when you're dealing with something anomalous, and that's where I've told them many times, call me.
Right.
Let me be your paranormal liaison.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If something strange happens, call me. Now, in a UFO thing, obviously they can't call me because they have channels that they have to follow government-wise.
Yeah.
Okay. Which usually includes NORAD and CF-18 Hornets.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Like they can't do that. But, there is a lot of police I've talked to where they don't want to write the paperwork. They want to just forget about it. They don't want to put it on their staff sergeant's desk or their sheriff's desk or wherever because ridicule. All of a sudden you go to work and it gets around that, Constable George was following a UFO story the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And, hey, did you get abducted by aliens? Did you get anal probe? Now the ribbing starts. It's not worth the harassment for a lot of these great officers that are putting their lives on the line each time they go on duty.
Yeah.
So I can understand why they would sweep it under the rug, and they don't want the paperwork. No, they don't want the paperwork.
No.
So I find that very intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
I really do find that intriguing, and it makes sense to me. It really does. It's not the first time I've heard it,
No.
but it's a good story.
Yeah. It just brought me into a different, I guess, way of thinking when I finished at the end of it. And I was like, it doesn't, the more we grow, some things just don't ever seem to change. Maybe there's a little movement, maybe there's a little bit more elbow room, maybe there's a little more understanding, compassion, all that sort of stuff. But the meat and potatoes of it is, it'd just be nice once to, for something like that to happen, and then it become not sensationalized, but people go, you know what? Yeah, we're supporting you, instead of leaving people hanging them out to dry, right? And as you've heard, and we've heard, and everybody's heard, being on listening to the show and stuff, people that have had experiences like that, mentally, that is, as far as I'm concerned, that must be just something else to have that and hold on to that, and not have somebody go, you know what? Yeah, we believe you. That's why this Spaced Out Radio and all the people here, it's nice to be able, people go, okay, yeah. But it would be nice that they wouldn't, the officials wouldn't dismiss it and stop, and they'd quit making excuses,
But you know what? Like I said, comes down to paperwork. I mean, how much I have to file paperwork for a day off.
Yeah.
A lot of people have to file paperwork for a day off. Can you imagine, like, with being a police officer or emergency medical technician, where you literally have, it's not just helping people.
Yeah.
It's the cover your butt paperwork that you spend hours on afterwards. That's where it gets into a little bit of exhaustion. And it is that UFO report worth it? Is it worth taking that incident report where somebody's claiming that they got missing time,
right,
and they were abducted by aliens? How much now I got to ask you, how much did you have to drink?
Yeah.
How stoned were you?
Right.
Let's have a toxicology report. And guess what? Those guys sitting on the pier, I'm pretty sure there was a few beers.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a good possibility.
Sure.
And guess what's going to get blamed? It's not the aliens. It's not the UFOs. It's not what they recall. It's the Budweiser.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Or the Coors Light, whatever they were drinking.
Exactly.
Right? The moonshine.
Exactly.
Whatever it could be that they were drinking. That is what's going to be blamed.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah.
You could have 25 cameras on them that show them being abducted by aliens.
Right.
And that UFO. However, the toxicology report says, oh, you were dabbling in the hippie lettuce while you were having a few suds while watching the lake and the fish jump. Well, I don't care about those videos because your toxicology report shows that you were intoxicated.
Yeah.
At 0.05.
Yeah. Right.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just the way it is. That's all part of the game. And I don't blame the police for that.
No.
They don't want the paperwork.
No. And I mean, when you say that with the paperwork too, putting the shoe in the other foot, I'm at the desk as an RCMP officer, whatever, sheriff, wherever you are, and you're writing out a report about a UFO. Meanwhile, the corner market's being robbed and there's a gunfight going on and you didn't arrive at the scene. How do you explain that to your CO? Right? Where were you? I was filling out a UFO report, right? I can see that too, right? I'm sure that when that went up the ladder, maybe like you were doing what? So yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. I just, it's one of those things that make me go,
Right?
Yeah.
No, I fully agree with you, man. I fully agree with you. So we got about just over 2 minutes here before we got to say goodnight. But, what it comes down to is this belief.
Right.
And you know what? These are good people who followed the channels that you're supposed to. When something happens, you call the police.
Right.
And when the police don't believe you, what does that do to your mental anxiety?
Through the roof.
Right? Because not everybody wants to go to a UFO researcher or an alien abduction researcher.
Yeah.
Okay. Not everybody wants to do that. They followed the protocol. They went to the police and they got shunned.
Yeah.
and they got laughed at, ridiculed, basically told to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
It's not the way it's supposed to be. And I feel for them on that.
Yeah.
I do. You know, I mean, but when you hold a story back for a decade,
that's what I was just going to say.
Right?
Yeah.
You can't do anything about it. You got to take some blame for that.
No, for sure.
You know, at that point, I think if I was in that situation and I'm 10 years in, do I even bother?
Yeah, no. I start searching for people like us.
Exactly. And Lord knows, you know, but that can even be dangerous because social media has turned into such a cesspool.
Yeah.
Of anger
and
vile comments.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I have to say, I don't understand that either. But, you know, that's a topic for something else.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I hear you, my man. I hear you. You know, but hey,
right.
It is what it is. As we got to be prepared to say goodnight to you, my friend.
All right.
It is that time of the night once again. Thank you for a great report.
Thank you.
You know, that's what we do around here on the UFO Report. Tim James. Yeah, he's getting better. Each and every show, he's getting a little bit better.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see hair sprout on the top of his head. So as we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Fall, rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio. Rocking us in and out every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your car, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, Elgin, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. 2 hours, 53 minutes, 55 seconds every time.
How the heck?
It's the way we roll.
Yep.
It's the way we roll. That was fun. Great show.
Yeah.
Great
definitely.
show.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Fun times, man. Fun times.
Well, all right.
You know what popped up on my Facebook Reels today? As I was scrolling through.
What's that?
Was the pizza scene in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Oh,
right.
I watched that when it was first released.
Because you're that old, yes.
I know. As soon as I started saying it, I was like,
yeah, you knew I was going to throw it out there.
I rented it. My dad rented it for me. We rented the VCR, and I watched it within, I think, probably, without it trying to exaggerate, probably a 6-month period. I watched that 74 times.
Oh my.
Yeah. I used to know it verbatim. Right.
You know, I never got into it that much, but you know, I mean, what year did that movie come out? 83, 84?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure.
What
yeah, because
year was
82?
Fast Times. 1982.
Yeah, there we go.
Actually, August 13th, it'll be the 42nd anniversary.
Nice.
Hard to believe that movie's 42 years old.
Well, has she seen Sean Penn lately? Yeah, I can believe it.
Well, Sean Penn's been looking old for 28 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. the pizza scene.
Right.
Yep. Mr. Spicoli, what are you doing? Learn about history, having some food.
That teacher was a jerk.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a socials teacher like that. Mr. Coyne. Yeah. Jimmy Coyne.
All right. Let's let me do this. What am I doing here? Okay, that's downloaded. Let's go like that. And yeah.
Phoebe Cates, Stargazer 4682. Phoebe Cates.
Oh, who didn't love? If
I
you're
know.
a teenager, I think that was one of the first movies I actually saw a pair of boobs on.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think mine was Stripes or something like that. I can't remember. With Bill Murray.
Did they have boobs in there? I don't remember.
Yes, I thought they did.
Yep, that was my first.
Yeah.
I think my first movie.
Hey, Brad.
Right.
Uh-huh.
It's like, come on.
Yeah, and then the car song when she's coming out of the pool, right? Living in stereo. I was like, they're priceless.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I remember when the video store right down the road from my house,
Mm-hmm.
I could rent any video I wanted in there outside of adult videos.
Sure.
I could rent any video there as a 13, 14-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
Except because it was family owned,
Mhm.
except when the mother was there.
Oh, yeah.
She would police me like anything. Right? And she'd be like, no, I'm not renting this to you. You need your parent here for that. I'd be like, I just rented this last week. And it wasn't even something with nudity in it.
Right.
It was like
Eddie Murphy delirious.
I think it was A Nightmare on Elm Street, to be honest.
Okay.
You know, I'm like, I just rented this last week. Like, what's the issue?
Yeah.
And the daughter who also worked there, she was so cute. She was probably early 20s at that time.
Right.
I was smitten by her as a 13-year-old. And I was like, she would let me rent whatever because I was always in there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That was a thing to do back then, man.
Of course it was.
Yeah.
Of course it was. And then when the new releases come out, you try to beat everybody there before they were ripped off the shelves.
And then
right?
they started booking the new releases.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucked.
Yeah.
Rogers Video was bad for that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what Blockbuster was like. We didn't have a Blockbuster in my town.
Yeah. No, we always had the mom and pop places.
Yeah.
I mean, Blockbuster came along later. And I remember the first time I walked into a Blockbuster, I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And nah, it was just too overwhelming. It was like walking into a Walmart, right?
I do miss record stores.
Me too.
I really miss record stores.
Yeah. Well, I used to love that. And there was something about going in there and flipping through them and just, yeah. And you could go in there and they didn't care if you loitered.
No.
Right. They didn't, because you're in there and you were looking and you usually walked out with a 45 or an LP, whatever.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I used to love that too. And then having the record out when you brought it home, pulling the liner out, reading every single note. That was part of it. I loved it.
I remember I was saving up. I think it was for a Def Leppard album or something like that. I was saving up because, I'd go babysitting at my cousin's house, make $10 because that was the going rate back then for like 5 hours was like $10 for the night.
And you had to do the dishes.
No, I never had to do that.
No,
I never had to do that. But never mind this $10 per hour stuff. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
$10 for the night.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was a good night.
Yep. And, and then my friend had heard on the radio. So this is going back to, oh goodness, I'm going to say 84. Okay. Do you remember when Samantha Fox came out?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there was a rumor going around on a radio station that some of her albums, because she had posed nude.
Yes.
Prior to that, and that was a big controversy. But there was this my friend had heard on the radio, and at 13 years old, you're going to believe this stuff,
Yeah.
that inside her album jackets where some of the albums had nude photos of her. So I actually, being the little pervert that I was back then,
Yeah.
I actually went and bought a Samantha Fox album just to see if I could get a nude photo of her, right? And I remember looking at my buddy, I'm like, that didn't work.
Yeah.
That did not work.
Curses.
Yeah, curses. Damn it. That didn't work.
Did you ever go in down in downtown Vancouver on was it Granville Seymour, across from the old recruiting station, Army recruiting station? They had the Beatles museum upstairs, and
I never knew that.
Yeah, so it was a record store anyway, and the guy in there was whatever, just super cool guy. Place smelled like incense, the whole 9 yards, and it was this tiny little place. And he goes, I said, he said, what are you looking for? I said, I don't know, just checking it out. And he goes, have you been upstairs yet? I was like, well, no, I just kind of walked in. But he goes, yeah, head upstairs. We got some good albums upstairs. So anyway, upstairs, Beatles museum, super cool. Love the Beatles. And all the back row, over by the windows, bootleg. And I was like, what? So I go over, and it's all these bootleg albums of whatever, every band you could think of. So I ended up picking up Van Halen bootleg from the Pasadena Civic Center in like 1977. And I bought it. I left. I went to grab something to eat at a restaurant, and I pulled it out of the bag and opened the plastic up, and I slide the album out, and the center sticker, and I was like, some George Jones, and I was like, what the heck? I just got ripped off. So I went back to the guy. I said, what's going on here? And he just looks at me, and I felt like such an idiot. He goes, it's a bootleg. I was like, yeah. And he goes, oh my God, first bootleg? I was like, yeah. Throws it on the turntable, puts it on, and there's this terrible Van Halen. It just sounded terrible.
No.
And he goes, when you get a bootleg, they never put the name of the band on the. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, I used to go there and go upstairs, bootleg. Then I became an expert in buying bootlegs, Aerosmith, and oh God.
Oh yeah. Kids today will not know the pressure or the anger of waiting all hour for your favorite song on the radio to hit play and record at the same time. And the frickin' DJ is talking over the beginning of the song.
Yeah, stepping all over it.
Stepping all over it. I remember, just screaming at my radio because I wanted to, I think it was like 87 or 88, and waiting, like literally waiting. Back in Abbotsford, we always listened to 92.9 KISM. In Bellingham, Washington. Yeah. And all of a sudden you'd be waiting for like this whatever the song was. Sure. And be damned if that DJ wouldn't speak over it. And you're like, great. Now I have to wait another 2 hours before it plays again. You son of a
cramps in my fingers.
Oh my God.
Well,
kids today will not know the anger.
How about going to concerts?
I like Joe here. Dave just brought up one of my childhood traumas. DJs talking over songs you're trying to record on a cassette that you've waited all day to come on the radio. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What's that? Mothman's got what?
Tim Mothman said he got a copy of Appetite for Destruction, bootleg months. By the way, yesterday was the 35th anniversary of Appetite for Destruction.
I saw that.
Yeah. That's the shit we need to talk about on this show.
I think so.
Great. Okay. Favorite song on that album? I'm Paradise City.
Yeah.
Greatest song ever recorded, by the way.
I would have to say, I'm just thinking, got to run through them so I can give you an honest answer.
I'm going to play this for a second. Just got to make sure I edited the right place.
Yeah. I'd say Paradise City too.
Yeah. Then I would go with Rocket Queen.
Rocket Queen was really good, or is really good.
Bumblefoot, when he played Rocket Queen, he was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
Well, the other thing that, and we're going to age ourselves here. Remember when you go to a concert, what was it? I saw, was it Kiss? I think it was Kiss back in, I don't even know what it was. It was like Destroyer Tour or something like that. And you were not allowed to bring cameras in.
Oh, yeah.
Like lots of places. If they caught you with a camera, yeah, they'd freak out. What are you going to do now? Everybody's got it. Like, I mean, you know, when you were kids, my stepmother used to work at Maple Leaf Gardens, and when she lived in Mississauga, and she had some buddies that worked there as well. So Kiss Alive would come out, and I would just ate that album right up. I was like, oh my God, I love this. And I became a huge Kiss fan. And she got a hold of her buddy, and at Maple Leaf Gardens, they'd take photos. The staff would take photos. And apparently in some of the areas, and not just at Maple Leaf Gardens, but at different coliseums and stuff, they would take pictures of the talent without the talent knowing for their own personal. So I got actual 35 millimeter photograph of Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, and Ace Frehley. And you totally tell it's not like one of those PR photos.
Yeah.
I still have it to this day. And it's like, yeah, I was beyond on the moon with it. Right? But yeah, no photos.
I remember one time when I covered the Vancouver Canucks, it was always kind of cool because you go into the press box.
Sure.
And a lot of times you'd have celebrities in there.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, one game, I'm riding up the elevator, and here's Pittsburgh Steeler Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh, wow.
You know, taking in the game.
Cool.
And I was like, okay, that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And one time I'm running, I'd missed the elevator, so I'm running down the stairs.
Sure.
And who's coming up the stairs? This giant bodyguard. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe Perry.
Oh, no way.
Joe Perry.
I would love to have met him.
Yeah. And then do you remember when Tom Arnold had his sports talk show on ESPN?
Yes.
I forget what it was called.
Canceled.
Yeah. Well, him and his crew smoked a joint in the stairwell leading up to the press box. So for the final two periods of the game, the entire press box smelled like pot. And
no, I'll take the extra large nachos.
And we go into the post game scrum. We go into the post game scrum, and he walks up to Mike Modano of the Dallas Stars.
Yep.
And the first question, he throws the microphone in front of Modano. And the first question he asks, he goes, so Mike, just curious, you know, you guys being hockey players and all, athletes, you got the big shower in there. Do you ever stare at each other's cocks while we're, while you're showering after? Who's got the biggest cock on the team? Right. And I am just, like, I'm standing right there and I'm just killing myself laughing, right? Killing myself laughing. I was like, I can't believe this just happened, right? Mm-hmm. It was awesome.
Most uncomfortable time that I can remember, and I was probably about 35 or something. A friend of mine was a set director down at Lionsgate.
Yeah.
Right? So whatever, go down there, and I was hanging out, and his dad Bob, was a huge Robert Wagner fan, just loved it, whatever, that era.
Yeah.
So
he watched a lot of Heart versus Heart. Right?
Yeah, and whatever, yeah. But he loved Robert Wagner, right? Terrific. So we go down, and Richard says, come on down. He says, Robert Wagner's going to be there, and there's a bunch of stuff going on, and you're allowed on set. You can come on as our guest. I was like, okay, right. Cool. Went down. So Bob Sr. is just beside himself the whole time. We get in there, and where's Bob? And Richard's telling him, Dad, you just got to chill out, right? He goes, oh, no, but you don't understand. He goes, you've got to relax, or you can't come in, right? All right. So we sit down and we're out of the way, and Richard walks up and Wagner walks in a little bit and a few minutes later and see Richard talking with him. So I'm going to introduce him to Bob. So he stands up and they do the introduction and the pleasantries, and Robert Wagner, super nice guy. He was just really nice. And I shook hands with him and I'm like, hey, very nice to meet you. So we're standing there, and now Bob Sr. is starting to feel comfortable, like it's old home week, like he's known Wagner forever, right? I shit you not. I no word of a lie. He's got his hand on Wagner's shoulder, and gives him an elbow bump, and he goes, okay, come clean. What happened to Natalie? Right there. Wagner looked at him, and I was like, uh-oh, right? And Richard grabs Bob, says, gotta go. Takes him out of there. Well, I'm walking up trying to catch up to them because I got to get a ride back. Richard gets outside and all hell breaks loose. You are never going. I'm going to lose my job. I was like, oh no. So anyway, nothing happened. Wagner was really cool with it, but I just couldn't believe it. It was the most uncomfortable I ever felt around a celebrity. I want Bob level with me. What really happened with Natalie Wood, right? I was like, oh my God. Yeah.
Some people.
Time and place. And sometimes there isn't even a time and place for that. But
no.
Yeah.
No. I remember this is back in my thinner days because I do things by pounds rather than years.
Okay. Yeah.
I remember walking in, and I'm on my cell phone. You know, this is when the texting was just starting to come in.
Oh, Jesus.
That's how long ago we're talking.
On a BlackBerry?
No, I had no, this is before pre-BlackBerry. BlackBerry was just coming in, right?
Okay.
And I remember I bump into this lady. And I'm sorry, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is in the press box. I'm sorry, ma'am. You know, and I look up at her, and I'm like a deer to headlights. I don't even recognize, but she is just so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So beautiful. And, you know, and all of a sudden she's given me the once over. Right.
Okay. Cool.
And then I look down and I see the size of her diamond ring.
Mm.
The diamond on it was about that big. And it's Diana Krall.
Oh, Diana Krall is awesome.
Yeah.
Elvis Costello.
How did Elvis Costello score her? You
Pumped
know, that's one of the mysteries of this universe that I will never understand.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when Mutt Lange, you know,
with Shania
got together with Shania Twain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't understand that one either. You know,
No.
later, they ended up getting divorced.
Sure.
You know, but just like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Right. But yeah, it was Diana Krall.
Yeah.
And I almost ran into one night Christina Aguilera was there.
Oh yeah.
At the game.
Yeah.
And this was at the height of her popularity.
Yeah.
And she was doing a concert in Vancouver like a night later or 2 nights later.
Yeah.
And that her bodyguard was the biggest dude I have ever seen.
I can imagine.
Like literally Christina was like 5'2",
mm-hmm.
maybe 90 pounds.
Right.
Okay. Her bodyguard was probably 6'5", 340 of muscle. Okay. This guy was massive. Okay. Like he's wearing probably a triple XL shirt and he's got probably 7% body fat on.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And I'm looking at this guy and I'm like, I'm out of the way.
Oh yeah.
I'm just there's no point in even doing it. I'm just out of the way. But that was pretty cool.
Yeah, no doubt. My brother wiped out Cheryl Teagues on Whistler during a photo shoot in a bikini.
What an asshole.
Yeah, it was perfect. Because my dad at the time had his own business up there, but he also was the one of the paramedics on the ambulance.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Spring skiing. We're up on the, like I say, top of Whistler, and I was maybe 16. So my brother was like 14, 13. So we come over this rise and they're taking photos, and my brother didn't technically ski. He just bent for leather, right? So we're swooshing down the hill, and my brother goes ripping by, and all of a sudden, a few seconds later, there's some commotion, and my dad and I come down, and there's this lady in a pile, and a bunch of people piled around. There's my brother bent all out of shape over on the other side of the run. And so we get down there, and my dad's, everybody okay? Is everybody okay? And this guy starts freaking out. And this kid just wiped out Cheryl Teagues.
Oh, man.
I was like, what? And so I ski over there, and she's laying there in a crumpled pile, and I didn't break her arm, but really wrenched it. So my dad, well, I'm an ambulance attendant, and I can help her with that. Oh, thank God. Well, there's my brother and I. My brother's apologized, and there's me, 16 years old, standing there going, Cheryl Teagues is right in front of me with a bikini on. But wiped her right out.
That's good stuff, man. Yeah, that is good stuff.
Good times.
I remember, pre-facial surgery, Renee Zellweger.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
She, I was just in love with her back then. Like, she was on my list. Okay. And one night I had made a payment on my cell phone bill, but it didn't go through in time. And this is when they'd cut you off like that.
I remember that.
And so it's 12:30 at night. I'm on the corner of Nelson and Granville, trying to get a hold of somebody at my cell phone provider, saying the payment was made.
Sure.
I could give you the account number and all this kind of shit. Right. And all of a sudden, as I'm standing there, I see this lady walking up, tiny, dark hoodie, all alone, because there was a Blend's coffee shop.
Oh, yeah.
Right on the corner there.
Yeah.
At the time. And she walks out of the coffee shop and she goes, "Hi, how are you tonight?" And she's all alone. And I look, and I'm like, "Good." And she goes, "Okay, see you around."
Okay.
And she was a block and a half later that I put face to who was just talking to me, and it was Renee Zellweger. And I was like, "You idiot. You absolute moron." Right? There was your shot. And you blew it.
She stopped and talked to you.
She's the one who instigated it. She instigated it.
Oh, dude.
And I didn't even catch on. I was like, "You son of a," because back then, going instead of years going by pounds.
Sure.
Okay. I was in pretty good shape.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Old Davey was looking good. Not that I don't look good now.
No, absolutely.
Right.
Well, I think the worst guy that I ever ran into was Sylvester Stallone. That guy, what a jerk. Yeah.
1 second here.
Oh, that's all good.
Texting Dirty Filth.
Hello, Dirty Filth. Yeah, I think it was a PTSD moment for Dave.
Oh, yeah. Oh, totally was. Totally was. I'm still mad.
I get it. I'm
still mad.
Yeah. When I worked in Whistler, I got to hang out with Heather Locklear.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, just hang out.
Okay, let's go back to the 80s.
Okay.
Heather Locklear or Heather Thomas?
Thomas.
I was total Heather Thomas.
Yeah.
I had every poster of Heather Thomas.
Who didn't?
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen her lately?
I don't want to.
No, you don't.
The plastic surgery did not age well with her.
Exactly. I think if she would have just left herself alone, like I think a lot of people, she would have aged a lot nicer. But no, I was definitely Heather Thomas.
Oh, Pat Monahan wants to know the Stallone story.
Oh, God. Okay. So when I was working for the bus company down in, I was a mechanic, right? So anyway, there was two of us, had to take a bus down. There was one broken down at Waterfront Station in Vancouver. and we had to bring another one down. Get down there. So I'm driving, and I pull into the curb, and then get in behind the broken bus. But as I'm pulling into the curb, there's a little girl comes shooting out from like behind, like 45-degree angle on my right side, and she's running towards the curb where I'm pulling into. Well, I catch her with my eye, and Bruce, the guy I'm with, goes, "Watch out, watch out, watch out." And all of a sudden, this monster of a dude comes running up and scoops her up. And I was like, oh my God, thank God. So anyway, I pulled in. So at the time I smoked, and so step off the bus, and we're waiting for the driver to come and take it. So I'm having a smoke, and Bruce is having a smoke, and there's a kerfuffle over at the statue of the fallen soldier.
Yes.
Right? So whatever. And this kerfuffle in this group sort of swarms towards us, but like walking down the sidewalk. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I see the guy that picked up the little girl, and he's walking behind, and all I can see is the top of this little girl's hat. Right? And as they get closer, the crowd kind of disperses, and it's Stallone, and he's got his daughter in his arms, right? Got a big cigar hanging out of his mouth, and the guy's like 5'4", right? And and I'm standing there having a smoke, and he just guns me like it was my fault that his kid ran out, right? Bruce, God rest his soul, one of the most absolute straight guys in the world, just looks at him and goes, "If you were watching your own effing kid, this wouldn't have happened. So don't be sitting here staring at us." He says, "Take care of your children," right? And Stallone kept walking. I was like, you just told Stallone, you just told Rocky and Rambo, right? I don't give a shit. I was like, oh my God. But yeah,
he's lucky. He's lucky he didn't get beaten up there.
Well, by the guy, but yeah, it was just like Stallone just was like, oh, holy crap. That's I'm sorry. Like, yeah. And Bruce didn't even miss a beat.
My goodness. That's not very fun.
No.
That's not very fun at all.
No.
My goodness. Who else did I get to meet? Oh, the dude who played Travis Walton. I always forget his name. He played Travis Walton on Fire in the Sky.
Oh. Yeah, it's right there. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Met him in the elevator.
Mm-hmm.
He was kind of cool.
Right on. I watched Doug Flutie beat the hell out of a bank machine at Guilford Center after he first started playing for the Lions. I was like, outside that, I think it was a Surrey Credit Union. Yeah, it used to be that. And they had the two bank machines outside at the main entrance to the mall. So whatever it was, they were closed and summer night. And I went to do the same thing, take some money out of the bank. And I roll up in my car, and there's these two guys standing there. And this one little guy is just freaking. And I'm like, I should probably not get out of the car. This is Surrey. And I'm like, okay, I think we're all right. So I walk over and ignore everything that's going on. And these two other guys are trying to calm this one guy down. And he's effing this and effing that. And I got effing money and effing. And I'm like, what the? And I turn and I look, and it's like, oh, that's Doug Flutie. I looked at him. I said, hi. I said, Doug Flutie? And he just looked at me. I said, hope you do really good this season, and looking forward to, playing with the Lions and stuff. And then he starts explaining to me, this is crap. I've got money in my account. I'm like, I'm looking at these two other guys. I don't know who they were.
Probably offensive linemen.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like Walter Ballard and stuff like that. I'm like, he starts just venting to me, and I'm like, my ex-wife. I get back to the house. She goes, what took you so long? I said, I just had to listen to Doug Flutie vent. And she's like, what the? But yeah, he's banging on the machine, and I'm like,
he's still the CFL's biggest proponent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, like this brother too. Darren was really good too.
Darren was good. Darren was good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's that time of the night. We're going to say goodnight to everybody. So thank you very, very much for tuning us in. Tomorrow night on the show, Douglas Hodson is going to join us. We're getting into near-death experiences and sacred scripture. That's according to Dirty Filth.
Oh.
So thank you tonight to Mike with a hat trick, Mike Bothwell with a hat trick of super chats, Bigfoot Rob and Kira for the amazing super chats. Greatly appreciate your love and support. We'll talk to you all tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. If you haven't yet, hit subscribe, ring that bell. We'll be back tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.